Evening, everyone.
6:36.
I got my watch. What's it? What do you have?
6:36.
That's what I had. 5 minutes.
Recording in progress.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Michelle. Good evening. Tonight is Tuesday, November 1st at 6:35. We will like to announce that those attending tonight's meeting should be aware that the meeting is being audio and video recorded by APAC and ASRSD. Any audience members who wish to record any part of the meeting must inform the chair, who will announce the recording. This is to comply with the Massachusetts wiretap statute. The listings of matters not those reasonably anticipated by the chair which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items may, in fact, may be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. The order of the meeting may be altered at any time. I'd like to call this to order to regular session. If Michelle would call the order, please.
Mr. Bresnahan, Mrs. Ranger.
Here.
Mr. Flinty.
Here.
Mrs. Grecian.
Here.
Mr. Rupert.
Here.
Mrs. Bailey.
Thank you very much. Tonight, we are fortunate to have the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm moving right along. Michelle, you can read it.
That's good.
Yeah.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is this going to be okay?
Yep, I'll move it if it's in your way.
It's not in my way. I'm just more nervous about you. Now we can move on. The student representatives tonight, Mrs. Anna Sanchez and Mr. David Seiberg, are they here? We have Anna here, it looks like. Is David here?
I don't think so.
Anna, you're up.
Should I stand up here? Or can I-
If you'd like.
I'm gonna
You would look very nice.
I was going to say, whatever makes you comfortable.
Practice your public speaking and, stand up. Whatever you want.
All right. What would you like to know? I'm not exactly sure what I should be talking about.
Well, how was homecoming? Let's start
It
with
was
that.
good. I actually really liked it. It was weird because the only other homecoming I'd been to was my freshman year. So it was different, to say the least. But I really liked it. I thought that they did a really good job. So.
Can I ask, how was it at the cafeteria as opposed to the town hall? It seems like there'd be more space for students in the cafeteria, which is nice.
There was a lot of space. I did find, however, that a lot of the freshmen were like congealing in the corners, which was fine. But
That would be at any venue, I bet.
It was kind of like awkward at first. We were like, should we go on the dance floor? Should we not? Nobody's going out. But then we did, so it was fine.
Yeah. Good.
Sounds like the first dance of the year. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
And all the classes are going good, and
Yeah, they're definitely good. They're harder this year. I mean, someone told me that junior year would be the hardest, but I think senior year has been really hard so far. But that might be because I'm taking like another AP class. I'm taking 3 APs this year, so they're hard.
you have a teacher who's sitting in the audience. The reason we're laughing is not you.
Yeah, I
because
love
she's
the head
agreeing with
shakes.
you.
I like the
And
head
so
shakes.
so it's affecting the.
Yeah, she taught me last year, so she did a good job. I think so. Yeah. But I submitted all of my college applications today. So it was really scary and expensive. Yeah, it was scary, but I did it. And I hope that it works out. I was like telling my mom, I was like, I hope I get into at least one. But I think I will.
You definitely will.
Yeah. But,
Do you have a top choice?
for private schools, I really like Clark University in Worcester.
Yep.
But for state schools, I honestly do not have a preference, and I'll probably go to whatever school is cheapest because I want to be a teacher.
Oh, yay.
So, yeah.
That's great.
English teacher.
Make sure you come do your pre-practicums and student teaching with us.
Okay, I definitely will.
Yeah, you'll be able to get a job. Can hook you up.
So my trivia question for all the seniors that I work with and stuff are, how many colleges did you apply to, and good grief, why?
I applied to 5 colleges.
Well, that's the most reasonable number I've heard, so.
Yeah, I did one private and then the rest were state schools. And they're all in Massachusetts, just because it was unreasonable for me to go out of state. I just didn't think that it would work out, so I did all state schools.
Not only are you a good student, and we'd like to hear from you, but, you're level-headed, so congratulations. Anything else you wish to tell us, upcoming stuff that is going to be happening? And how's the football team? Well, I think we'll have the football report sitting in the middle.
I am going to say one thing. I'm helping out with the Dance for Kindness with the elementary school. So, not to plug it or anything, but if you want to go, you can just go and learn it. It's going to be like the flash mob situation in Main Street, and I did that when I was in 5th grade, so it's kind of weird. I'm teaching everyone to dance this year.
Plug it. Tell us when it is.
Tell us when it is, where it is, what time.
It's November 13th, and I think it's at 1 on Main Street. But I'm not exactly sure. I think those are the times. Okay.
You have supporting
Yeah.
characters here, sounds like it's okay. Well, that's good. So, any complaints, we can tell these people to leave, and you can tell us anything you want.
I have no complaints.
Hey!
I'm happy. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
So, this is how we get all the good color and everything, so we're very, very anxious to hear what you have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming tonight, and you can sneak out as soon as somebody else starts talking, so it doesn't look too obvious.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have some student recognitions to be done by Dr. Renda and Mr. Christie. So if they're at the podium, since I think they're going to do a trade-off here.
Mr. Christie, I'm going to have you do, if you don't mind, because I know you're coming for your students, but since you're here, you do such a good job at it. And I will take care of the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents Award. We have 3 awards to give out tonight. The first is the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents Award for Academic Excellence. This is awarded to a high school student who has distinguished themselves in the pursuit of excellence during their high school career. This year, the award goes to Seth Valior. Seth is currently a senior at Air Shirley Regional High School. Seth is a standout student, not only in the classroom, where he currently ranks first in his class, but also on the golf course, in the band, on the track. It's a long list. As a member of both the indoor and outdoor track teams and the robotics team. Seth was the winner of the prestigious the LaSalle University Book Award, given to the student who consistently pursues the greatest version of themselves and participates in extracurricular activities. Mr. Peter Gubalini, a history teacher and golf coach at Air Shirley, describes Seth as an intelligent, motivated, and empathetic student who is a joy to teach and coach. As a teammate and a human being, Mr. Gubalini gives Seth his highest praise for his unselfish attitude. So it is my pleasure to give Seth
Do you want to say a few words?
Thank you, Dr. Renda. I have the pleasure of handing out tonight 2 awards. Both of these are the NESDEC, or the National School Development Council, Awards for Academic Growth and Student Leadership and Learning. Each year, the National School Development Council offers an award for academic growth and student leadership and learning. The award is presented to high school seniors who have consistently pursued a high level of academic effort and who have also served as positive role models for the student body. Recipients of the award exemplify admirable character and accomplishment. This year's award recipients are Ashley Esalonis and Malia Marinez. Come on up, please. All right, Ashley. Ashley is a current senior at Air Shirley Regional High School. Beyond being a captain for the soccer team, Ashley is a standout student in the classroom. Ashley is heavily involved in the ASRHS National Honor Society and Student Council. Ashley has also chosen to take some of the more difficult classes offered, including AP Statistics and Intro to Psychology Sociology, which is a co-taught class with Mount Wachusett Community College. Mr. Donovan, an English teacher at the high school, describes Ashley as an intelligent, thoughtful student who exemplifies her high character at all times. Mr. Donovan finds himself amazed at Ashley's ability to juggle the demands she places on her schedule. Congratulations, Ashley. Malia is a current senior at Air Shirley Regional High School. Malia has, over the past 4 years at Air Shirley Regional High School, been a leader in the classroom and on a number of student activities. As a student, one cannot find a teacher at ASRHS who does not rave about Malia's academic performance. Malia's ability to ask thought-provoking questions and to invoke inquiry is unparalleled. While Malia has been involved in a number of activities, perhaps her biggest involvement has been in the band. Mr. Powderly, the Air Shirley music teacher, describes Malia as an individual who consistently goes above and beyond her responsibilities in everything in which she involves herself. She frequently serves as an inspiration to her peers. Congratulations, Malia.
Can we get a round of applause for the parents?
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming, and we really can, glad we have a chance to admire these wonderful students.
Thank you.
Do we have any? There you go, go to your picture.
Congratulations.
One short year ago. 1 short year ago, you were,
I know.
you were sitting up.
Yeah. Feels like just yesterday. How's she doing?
Is there any public participation tonight? Do we have anything online, Michelle? Oh,
No.
I know everybody knows you, but for the public.
I find myself in an awkward situation tonight. I came to respond to conversations about the gift our family made to the Fields Project after the conversations at the meeting on October 4th. I'm going to do it anyway, even though the conversations weren't ones that you made. I presume you're voting on this tonight, is that true?
We may not have a quorum.
Don't you have a quorum now?
Yes, but Mr. Quinty would need to recuse himself, so we may not have a quorum unless Erica shows up.
I think last week we talked about recusal, and you said you always vote for yourself as a representative, so the process of recusal would require me to say that I cannot be objectively decided.
And what do you think about that?
Well, we're not discussing it.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
We'll get to it later in the meeting.
So I'm in a less awkward situation, and I'm going to read what I plan to say, because the comments from last week were
Last
very
month.
upsetting. At any rate, Jim and I always wanted a new Fields complex. Jim started every meeting by saying so. Just because it wasn't the exact one that passed, doesn't mean that we are not very glad and thankful to have the new Fields complex. Our family's donation was not for individuals on the school committee. It was not for show. It was for the students, for the district. It was not meant to cause upset or continued animosity. In fact, the opposite. One of Jim's and our original wishes was to have an appealing entrance, one that stood out from other schools around us. I remember going to games that my kids were at, track meets in fact, and looking at other ones and commenting on them. Many of you in this room who remember from the beginning will recognize this as a suggestion that Jim made early on in the process. Make the entrance look special. The donation we made was a way to give back to the field and to help provide an appealing entrance. We made a donation as a family to help improve the already fantastic facility that people have worked so hard for and waited so long for. It was meant as a good faith effort, and we hoped it would be received as such. Sierra shared a little proverb with me when we talked about this at home. And she said, if you walk down the street and you're holding a cup of coffee and you trip, you're going to spill coffee. And if you're walking down the street with a cup of water and you trip, you'll spill water. Well, at the last meeting, Mr. Bresnahan kind of tripped on his words. And what he spilled out was animosity. And we think, the time has come to not carry that in our cups anymore. Let's move forward positively with the best interest of this district in mind. Together we can rise above this.
Thank you, Mrs. Quinty.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Is there any other public participation? Do you have something, Michelle? Okay. All right, thank you very much. We're moving on to the consent agenda, and I have totally disorganized myself royally here. So Michelle, could you perhaps read the consent agenda for us, because I don't have it.
I will.
You will?
Yeah.
This Michelle will do it, one or the other.
So on the consent agenda tonight, it's the October 4th regular session minutes for release, as well as the warrant memo. Hold on, let me just bring it up. Dated November 1st, and it has accounts payable warrant 1056 for $1,273,988.35. Accounts payable warrant 1055 for $2,682.63. And accounts payable warrant 1060 dated October 14th, 2022 for $882,640.71. Also has payroll warrant 8 for $995,484.65, and payroll warrant 9 dated October 21st, 2022 for $991,987.79.
Thank you, Michelle. I'll entertain a motion to accept that.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I would second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. That passed unanimously. Thank you. Found something. So we have new business. We have an introduction of our new Director of Food Services, Dr. Renda. Would you like to introduce Tom Hole?
I would. Tom Hull's coming back to us, actually, as a food
Maybe he
service
can just
director.
introduce himself.
I'm sure he's more than capable of doing that.
Well, thank you, Dr. Render. Thank you for committee and everybody for having me here tonight. Yes, my name is Tom Hull, and I'm the director, once again, here at Air Shirley for food nutrition. I left for 12 years, and I'm excited to be back and bring my passion of school nutrition back with me for the students and faculty here of the Air Shirley School District. This is one of my favorite subjects to talk about, is school nutrition. So if I get too long, just give me the axe. But I'm going to try to keep it short. We have some great participation statistics comparing this year to last year, if you'd like to hear those. Or if not, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
We can stand some numbers. We're strong.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So comparatively from last September to this September, our breakfasts have gone up almost 100%. 98% increase in participation from last September to this September. And then our school lunch participation has gone up 21% from last September. And that's October. We've seen an increase from last October of 33%, and not quite as much in participation growth in October lunch as we had in September, but we still had a couple of percentage points where we went up. So what that breaks down to is we've gone up significantly in our breakfast participation and our average daily participation. And we've seen an increase also in our lunch participations. So that's about a total this year of 13, a little over 13,000 breakfasts served to date, and about 35,000 lunches to date. That's all I have for now.
That's great.
And can I ask you what you attribute that to? Is it just word of mouth? That kids are hearing or seeing that the lunches are good, or what's the increase?
Well, I'd love to take all the credit, but I think part of it is thanks to the pilot program that Massachusetts is taking part of this year, where once again, all school meals are free. That's breakfast and lunch. And I think that we have done a pretty decent job at sharing that with our families, which we will continue to do so because we are not seeing 100% participation. And we may never get that close, but I'd like to get as close as possible. So we'll continue to announce our meals and the fact that they're still at no cost this year, and hopefully, with any luck, we'll be able to keep that throughout the years to come in Massachusetts and maybe the whole country.
So I'm sure that there's an organization for everybody. So I'm sure there's an organization for Director of School Services, Food Services. So are they all in favor of this? Are they going in that direction and campaigning and politicizing?
There they are. I can't speak for the School Nutrition Association. I am a former president, so I'm past president of the School Nutrition Association of Massachusetts.
I knew there had to be one.
And I do sit on a national committee now, but for the most part, yes. The School Nutrition Association of Massachusetts and nationally are recommending that the school nutrition or school meals, the USDA fund school nutrition by funding free meals for the years to come.
And is this going on, Massachusetts took it up, not totally easily, but somewhat. So is this going on in other states?
It's going on in 4 other states. We're one of 5 in the country right now who are participating in.
So Massachusetts, New York, California,
Vermont.
Interesting. And so to me, this is, if we don't feed the kids, they can't learn. But
Absolutely. It's hard to learn on a hungry belly when you're thinking of where your next meal is going to come from.
and you can't settle down and act reasonably either. I think that's a problem. So, well, thank you for the good job.
Oh, thank you so much.
You know, maybe we should offer popsicles every other day or something. Anybody who didn't?
I know Tom doesn't want to take credit, but I have to say, whenever you walk by the food in any school, it looks good. And it always smells good. I mean, I think every time we're walking into a building, and Charlie and I walk into a lot of buildings together, almost every time something smells good. And I've worked in schools for a long time. That's not always the case. So you should take, and you in the cafeteria workers should
I was just going to
absolutely
say, I can't do it at all without my staff. And it's our goal to continue to grow the program, not just by increasing the amount of students who participate, but increasing the quality and the freshness and of the foods, the nutritional ingredients, and all of that goes into keeping kids healthy. So that's our goal. And
We could put Mrs. Capasso on the spot here, since she's standing behind you nodding yes. So, because the teachers eat there too, so.
yes, they do, and we're very thankful for all the staff who participates, especially
Especially me.
Yes.
And he comes up with the catchiest name for his menu items, and the kids actually read into that. Yeah, you forgot to mention that, how you have fun names. And his staff is second to none. When you go into the cafeteria and you say, okay, who made it with love? Because that's my thing, you have to make everything with love in there, and they agree, they do make it with love.
That's
With a
very
smile on their
important.
face.
And we all eat with our eyes first before we even eat. It's our taste buds, so.
Well, for the student to have a positive interaction at lunch.
That's all 4 buildings.
Yeah.
They're really, the food service workers here are outstanding, yeah, in every building.
Well, the challenge is there. Have fun.
Thank you
Can
so
I
much.
push, though, the
Thanks for
parents
coming.
that are watching, though we do have district-wide free lunch, we still need you to fill out those forms.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of other funding comes out of those free and reduced lunch forms, not just school lunch. So if you haven't yet, please take the time to fill that out. If you need another copy or the website, you can feel free to call any of the schools' front office, and they will either supply you with the paperwork or the link, because we really do need that information. It can look like our numbers
Or if you have
are
any
down.
questions on that, just call my office as well. The numbers are on the website, and I'll help you in any way we can. So,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for giving us your time.
Welcome you back.
We
I was
appreciate
just
it.
gonna say that, welcome back.
And item B, under new business, is Wally Capasso.
Thank you. Good night.
You don't want me to talk about the lunches, do you? I do like chicken nuggets and chicken and popcorn chicken, that's my He makes them the best. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Lolly Capasso. I have been a teacher in this district for 29 years. I'm also one of the brave ones who thought it would be a good idea in 2016 to take children abroad. I did so for 4 trips. COVID shut us down in 2020, and canceled our travel abroad program. I'm here today, crazily, to ask that we consider again traveling abroad, with our first trip being Puerto Rico in June of 2024, with a new company. We had some difficulty with our last provider. I think a lot of people did. We'll say that. The new company, and I believe you have a packet in front of you, would be Passport Travel. They've been around almost as long as the previous company. My research, and I did do some homework on this, I looked into several student travel companies, and this one I thought had a solid COVID policy, and the accommodations were more palpable. We ran into some trouble once in Italy, and I'll leave it there. It's terrible. But anyway, so what is in front of you is the proposed trip to San Juan. I would need 12 students to sign up and begin payment for this to continue. I take my husband as a male chaperone. And if we have more children, if we have additional 6, I start adding to it. We also offer this trip to incoming 8 into 9, so they can also participate in that if their parents so choose. Although we have some freshmen. We had, your daughter, I think, was a freshman going to Greece, was she not?
Might
Was she a
have been,
freshman
yeah.
or
Well,
sophomore? I think she was a freshman.
she might have been, yeah.
Yeah. So we do have some 8th graders who choose to, sign up as 8th graders and travel with us as freshmen. But if I can answer any questions. It's a little more money than the previous travel company, and I think that is in part due to tips. The previous travel company would make the chaperones collect tips and hold tips, so I was literally traveling abroad with maybe $4,000 in my pocket, so I could tip people. It was very unnerving. Tips are included here. They look at 3- and 4-star hotels. It is similar to the other travel abroad company in the sense that we do have somebody assigned to us. We do have the option also, if we have a smaller group, to go with another group. But you meet that group in advance. In the previous travel company, we did not meet that group in advance, and we were just thrown together. It worked out well, and we got to meet people from all over the United States, but we'd like to know who you're traveling with. So I'm here tonight seeking your approval to pursue this trip, with the hopes that if this is a success, that I would be looking at a trip every year until 2026, and that's when I say goodbye, unless they pass that retirement though. But that would include, I know, I keep praying. That would include a trip to London, Paris, and finally Greece. Again.
Good.
Yeah, Greece was the trip.
So this is a week, 6 to
It's 8 days.
8 days.
And I would look at it at the end of the school year as opposed to during an April or February break.
Mhm.
So possibly second week or third week of June.
So what is the general cost of this?
I think it's in, hold on, I have.
And I apologize again,
That's
somehow I
okay.
managed to
I
shuffle
have
all
it.
my papers into the wrong stack.
$29.89.
$29.89, payment plan of $149 a month. And it's a little different in the sense that they have a lot of health and travel policies that the other company did not, especially in light of COVID. So if, gosh forbid, we are stranded somewhere, they pay $200 a day for a hotel and lodging until we can get out, which is, I don't believe the other offered us much.
I don't think they thought of it at
I
that
don't-
point.
yeah,
No.
no. I know now, they still don't.
Oh.
I did a little homework.
I will say, it seems pretty comparable price-wise if we're not paying, I mean, I remember paying the tip aside,
So
to
it's
you.
about the same.
I think it's probably pretty comparable. And I will also say that it's a fantastic experience for the kids. I mean, I think Emily would have done all 4 years if COVID hadn't happened, and
I think she was on task to do that.
yeah, she was. And then also, I will say Puerto Rico is also a great place. It looks like you've got the rainforest on there and some other cool places, so I'd be very much in support of it.
Thank you. Again, the caveat is I need 12 travelers. I will not travel alone. That would be unsafe. So I must have a male chaperone with me. I choose to take my husband, and then I will add additional as we go. We usually incorporate Terry Rollins from the middle school, especially if I have freshmen traveling with me, because she knows them better than I do. She knows them all.
That's-
The flyer shows that the effective date of June
That-
6th.
Yeah, roughly June 6th. That's just for the flyer.
Okay, but any collision with the end of the school year stuff, I'm sure that Mr. Christie
Right.
can work out things between the teaching staff and everybody. If you could talk to that briefly.
Sure. So this is a trip that Ms. Capasso and I have talked about in great detail. We did decide to change companies. The previous company, we felt, really let us down when it came to looking at how we were going to work with families to refund them their money during the COVID years. I really liked Mrs. Capasso's suggestion that we look at the end of the year. Now that we have chosen to forego final exams, we're really looking at using that second or third week in June as a departure time for students. The school year ends or almost ends as the students are taken off. It extends the year a little bit for students and staff, but I believe it hits right before the major summer rush. So this looks like a perfect opportunity and as things are starting to wind down for us during the year.
You're not taking away from academic time. February and April, we ran into it on either side, and it got to be hairy. And they were traveling with novels, so they could read them on planes and things. And it just didn't work for some.
How will it coincide with graduation? Will it be
It
after?
would be after.
Okay.
It would be after, and we'd have to consider that as we have students sign up. There may be some consideration for seniors traveling with us because they're no longer part of our school community, but I'm sure we can work around it and have the contract. And, you know, I know you're 18, but no, you're not drinking in a foreign country. Rules apply, sorry, but I mean, that is a consideration.
I would think bumping it back like that, you're not having April vacation with all the colleges and everything, which extend to Puerto Rico now, way past Florida. So that might be a better window of less conflict with other groups.
I agree, and I also, you know, I think that the main motivation here is I have students who came to me and said, my sister traveled with you, my brother traveled with you, why aren't we traveling? And the reality is COVID's here to stay, just like the flu or anything else. So it's going to be a part of our world, a part of our life, and we need to learn to work around it and vaccinate ourselves and do what we gotta do. But we can't live our life fearing COVID.
And this provides students with the educational opportunity to go with us as a school, where I know Ms. Capasso can point out so many wonderful spots within Puerto Rico that students may have studied in literature, and history, and art classes that we're now fully able to explore with them. Rather than sending them off with their family or with their friends, this truly becomes an educational trip as well.
One of the most rewarding experiences I had traveling abroad was in Greece, and we were sitting at the top of Agamemnon's castle, or where his castle would have been. And we're sitting and we're looking out over the Aegean Sea, and one of my seniors said, wait a minute, that really happened? He existed? And I just wanted to do this. But it all came to light for her. The things we were reading about that are so ancient are actually, you know, real. And it was, well, how about that Cyclops? And then our tour guide told me the Cyclops was probably the machinery they used to build the castles on the high walls. And they looked like Cyclops to the, you know, to the ones below. I was like, I didn't know that. But I was shocked. I never made the connection, and neither did she. I thought they just assumed it was real.
Anybody
Like
else,
I
Chris?
did.
Jim, would you like to ask anything or comment? Michelle?
No, I'm just glad you're back doing it again.
Well, I'm hoping that.
I just wish you were trying to squeeze it in this year.
We can get it going and running, and then somebody can take it on.
Yeah.
It's a rewarding, I can't tell you how rewarding it is. It just is.
I can't imagine you'll have any difficulty getting 12.
No.
No,
I
I
agree.
think you're going to have a
I wonder
lot
now
more.
with recessional issues and.
Yeah, but it's 2 years away. I mean, I don't think you're going to see that.
No, this is next year.
Well, next year, I mean, it's not 23,
Yeah.
it's 24.
Yeah.
It still is 22, isn't it? I haven't totally lost. So I think it's interesting that a lot of people don't go to Puerto Rico, and it is one of our territories. And like you pointed out earlier, you don't need a passport. And it's really, I think a lot of people don't understand what's there. So I think this is cool,
Really
you know?
beautiful.
I think it's
Did you
very
feel
good.
the 23 was too compressed?
Yeah. I don't think we can pull it off reasonably in 23.
Okay.
We could consider it, and I could ask, that's absolutely.
I would just put that out, I mean, because we, unfortunately,
You have a
our
voucher.
timing with our COVID thing, we punched out everybody was out, right? We were signed up and we had to do
Mm-hmm.
the whole thing, and they were, you know, obviously disappointed and the rest of that, so, you know, with each year, there's another group who's not in the game. So I would just take a look at it and see if there's any interest for 23, and if it looks like something this organization and you guys could pull off, I'd certainly like to see it happen sooner rather than later. If it's not possible, it's not possible, but I think we should at least explore it.
Or we could do Camp Sunshine in June of '23.
Oh, wait, no.
There's an ad for Camp Sunshine.
No, geez.
I know the thought behind 24 was to try to make an affordable trip. So if we could space out the payments for families, it doesn't become restricted to some folks.
Right.
So that played a large part of Ms. Capasso's thinking, was really the equitability for all students to be able to afford it.
Right.
I can look at a more local trip if people are interested in 23. Hawaii's sort of local, right? Oh, you should see their itinerary for Hawaii. That was my other first choice. Hawaii.
Puerto Rico's probably,
It's close. It's
Yeah.
a little bit, you know.
A little less airplane.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to fly 19 hours with
oh,
bus
God.
load of kids or a
Ugh.
plane load of kids. I don't know if I can do it.
No.
Camp Sunshine.
Oh, okay.
But speaking to what you just mentioned, haven't we had some funding for someone who wanted to be part of it, or some fundraising or something in the past? I'm just curious.
No.
Okay.
And the reason the answer is no.
I didn't know, so.
No, we've never done fundraising for these trips, because then we're getting into, I'd be afraid to tell a kid no, because I wouldn't be telling one no, I'd be telling several no, because I'm sure that there would be a great outreach for that fundraising. And that puts a lot on kids. I mean, as parents enough, I'm asking for money from everybody constantly as being a class advisor. I don't know if I'd be willing to go again and ask for more money, especially.
No, I was just curious.
I've never fundraised. Students are encouraged to do their own. You know, you may see them out in the middle of, Main Street with their buckets. They may be there. It's okay with me, but as an organization, we do not fundraise.
Okay, just.
And really,
Thank
you
you.
have always allotted a significant amount of time in planning the trip so that it does break down payments to somewhat reasonable amounts, as opposed to like a lump sum or 2 payments or something
Exactly,
like that. So that does help, I think, families kind of wrap their minds around it a little bit more if the finances are
A
an
lot
issue.
of kids go out and get a job.
Yeah.
I've had several who, had to come up with half, and that's an agreement between, the kids and the parent. and
Kids and parents.
Teachers have a little responsibility too.
Right,
It's not a bad
right,
thing.
right. Yeah, definitely. Okay,
Thank you.
so we're voting?
Is there a motion on the floor?
I'll make a motion to approve the Air Shirley Regional High School trip to the Isle of Enchantment, San Juan, for the dates to be determined, but possibly in June of 2024.
Seconded.
There's a motion on the floor and seconded. Any other discussion or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Lolly, you got a trip, let's go.
Yay, thank you. I hope I'm saying that. Yay, thank you. And
Thank you for coming tonight.
There is no rule that says the superintendent must travel with the group, just so.
I'm pretty sure that just got passed.
No, I'm sure it isn't. About $2,900, that's nice.
Is there a rule that
Is that
they
in
are?
section D of the policies that we're approving?
Right. No
It's a very, very
superintendent.
fine print.
Yeah.
I think if you had $2,900, you'd probably try to travel on your own and not with 12 students.
But your wife said you had to bring the baby, so you need 42.
Jane's a chaperone. Jane's a chaperone.
Small ones.
He chaperones now in the living room.
Thank you very much. And we are so lucky tonight to have Mr. Steve Kendall here, who is going to give us some new sports offerings, et cetera, and fill us in on all the wonderfulness of the football team, et cetera, and the volleyball, et cetera, golf.
You want me to start with the sports update?
Sure. Whatever you want to do.
All right, so fall sports are just wrapping up for most of our teams. Obviously, football is still going. We have a unique opportunity this year to be a participant in the MIA state tournament. Our team qualified as the 10th seed in Division 7, and we'll be traveling to Clinton on Friday at 7 p.m. And people have to buy tickets online. That is an MIA thing, that's not a Clinton High School thing. A lot of people have reached out to me about that. It's not Clinton High School's decision, that's an MIA decision. It's an MIA tournament game. And that information was sent out by Michelle earlier today, actually. So thank you for that. The tickets are $11.50 for adults and $6.50 for students. $1.50 of that is a charge from GoFam. So again, not a Clinton High School decision or an Air Shirley High School decision, MIA decision. But that's a good opportunity for them. We obviously were very happy. We drew Clinton, because the other team we were looking at possibly playing was Waukegan Regional, which is about 3 hours away. So we're very happy to draw the 20-minute bus ride, 8-mile bus ride to Clinton versus the 3-hour bus ride to Dalton. So a good opportunity for the team. Obviously, they won the first league championship in 16 years on Friday by defeating Murdoch. So real credit to this group of student athletes, and particularly to our coaching staff. The head coach, Billy Wright, has done an outstanding job revitalizing the program. 2 years ago, be honest, already had the co-op written to go play with Lunenburg, who's going to be presented about 3 weeks after I hired Billy. And since then, our numbers have been above 30, and hopefully looking to continue that way in the future. So great job by Billy and his staff, which includes 2 former Air Shirley graduates, and Stephen Lawton and Nick Taylor. So congratulations to the team and to the coaching staff on that outstanding accomplishment, and hopefully we'll be continuing on as time goes on. Should they win this week, they'll play in the round quarterfinals against the winner of Cohasset and Drury. If Cohasset wins and we win, we play at Cohasset. If we win and Drury wins, we play at home. We still have a makeup game coming up with Southbridge on the following week. I believe it's November 18th, if we're not in the state semifinals. And then we're fortunate enough to be hosting Thanksgiving this year with Littleton. So that'll be great. First time on the field, first time we've hosted Thanksgiving since 2018. So it'll be nice to host a Thanksgiving Day game. Cross country is the other sport still participating. This Saturday, our middle school athletes are participating in the state championships at Devon, so it's right down the road. Great for them, great for our bus budget as well. Don't need one. Jake Leone, 8th grader, will be coming off a victory in the Division II Central Mass Championships. Will be running Jack Holden, who finished 3rd at the districts last week. We'll also be participating Jane Marshall on the girls' side, finished 7th. She'll be participating Devin Perwack, who finished 14th. She qualified but won't be participating due to a family commitment. And Jalea Mays, who finished 33rd, will also be participating in the state championships this weekend at Devon. The varsity runners will be competing at Gardner on November 12th at Gardner Country Club in the state qualifier. And then those who qualify will also have the opportunity to run basically at home on the 19th in the state championships, which will be held on the same course at Devon's. So great job by cross country as always. Chris Donovan and Mike Seaman do a fantastic job with that program. Our cheerleading program is starting to get going again after a few weeks off. They're going to make an appearance for the first time at the Unified basketball game on Thursday, and are planning on attending the football game this week. So that's good for them to be back in operation after a few weeks off. Our Unified team, Unified basketball, will be hosting North Middlesex Thursday afternoon at 3:30. They have their jamboree next Wednesday at Fitchburg High School, and then we'll finish our season with kind of a fun night at Lunenburg, a night game at Lunenburg at 7 p.m. For their senior night, and we'll recognize all the seniors from both schools on that night. It was originally an outdoor game, but that was one of the rainy Fridays that got canceled, and we had to move the date, so we're going to do it on the 14th. Our boys and girls soccer team enjoyed a very successful season. The boys, with a very young team, narrowly missed qualifying for the state tournament, despite being mostly freshmen and sophomores. The JV team went 11-1-1, so a lot of good future ahead for boys soccer. The girls soccer team, again, another young team, mostly freshmen and sophomores, really showed some improvement during the year, which is something we focus on. And Ashley had some meetings with her and some of the other captains, and talked about the enjoyment they had the second half of the season, which is challenging when you're not winning games to enjoy it, and they did. So I'm very happy with the job the coaches there, Siobhan Pierce and Ryan Stevens, did finishing off the season. Our golf team had an outstanding year again, for the second straight year qualified for the state tournament. First 2 times in school history that's been accomplished, finishing 8th in the state, improving their score from last year by 26 strokes, so that's a great improvement. And with only 2 seniors from the team that participated in the state tournament, we should hopefully be back again next year. Our volleyball team wrapped up its season with 2 wins in the Central Mass Athletic Directors Association tournament, defeating Keefe Tech from Framingham and Bartlett from Webster in their final 2 matches. So Kim Melanson, Krista Melanson, and another Air Shirley graduate, Sam Lawton, doing a nice job with the volleyball program. Our middle school soccer teams are still competing. They actually just played today out here on Harold G. Norton Field. The boys soccer team doing a really good job. They're very competitive in a very difficult league. Coach Josh Melanson, a guidance counselor at the high school, has done an excellent job. And the girls team has also been extremely competitive, and our numbers are way up. Last year we had 11 on our middle school girls soccer team. This year we had 22.
Wow.
So Liam Hatch, who's a paraprofessional at the middle school, has done a nice job recruiting, but also coaching the student athletes as well. We've kind of adopted the band in athletics this year, because they're using the field probably as much as anyone. Congratulations to them on their 5th place gold medal at the competition this past weekend in Reading.
Oh, nice.
So good job by them. And that pretty much wraps up the fall sports. We just started our winter offerings, being registrations just opened this week. We continue to offer the fall sports, boys and girls ice hockey. Boys are co-op with Lunenburg. Girls are co-op with, I can even name all the schools in the co-op, but pretty much everybody north and west of here is on the 9 schools of Leominster. That may change next year, might be coming to you in a few months, asking to co-op with a more local school to play at Crawford School for girls ice hockey. We did a survey recently, which we'll talk more about in a few minutes. Girls ice hockey, we had 17 girls in grades 4 through 11 who were interested in participating in girls ice hockey, which with the other school, with the numbers they have, might be enough for just the 2 of us to host a team over at Crawford School. They would be the whole school, we would just be sending kids there, which would be great. He's already asked me if I would coach. I said, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. It's a long way away. Boys and girls basketball, varsity and JV, middle school basketball, it's grade 6 to 8, indoor track, swimming, which are co-op with Bromfield, very successful co-op with Bromfield, one of the best teams in the state the last couple of years. And our ski club, which information about that went out to high school students today, will be going out to other students in other grades later this week. So those have opened up. I would anticipate our numbers being pretty high in all those sports, just looking at the numbers from last year and what was coming in from the middle school, especially in girls basketball, JV basketball. Due to injuries and COVID last year, we ended up not having a JV team for the second half of the season. I don't see that happening this year. We had a group of 10 freshman girls coming in. A couple will play on the varsity, I'm sure, but well, plenty for junior varsity. We do have a waiver from MI for 8th grade for girls basketball, because our numbers were low last year, so we were able to get that. We did not get a middle school waiver for any other sport because our numbers were above the cap number for requesting a waiver. The only thing is any participant in indoor track last year, if they participated last year, they do grandfathered in, they can still compete this year. Because our numbers should be above 20 in both boys and girls indoor track, and that's the cap the state has put on for asking for waivers or co-ops. Student leadership. So we've been doing quite a bit with that recently. 5 students just attended the Midland Wachusett League Leadership Day at, can't remember the name of the elementary school, but it doesn't, Charlie would probably know actually, in Marlboro. It's used as an after-school program exclusively at this point. Hildreth, maybe?
Oh, that was.
Hildreth School. So, yeah, we went there. Maddie Davis, Gwen Connors, Matt Gill, Ryan Marchand, and Seth Valliere were our attendees, and they went through a series of workshops, 2 with Ashley Gustafson about mental toughness and being a good teammate, and then 1 with Tanya Rich, the athletic director at Neshoba Regional, and Joanna DiCarlo, the athletic director at Westboro, about sportsmanship. That will lead into our student athletic leadership team. 3 of the 5 are members of that. We've talked about making a presentation to our student body in November or early December prior to the start of the basketball season on proper fan behavior in the stands. We haven't had a massive problem with that at our school. We've had some minor issues over the last couple of years, but it has been a major issue across the state and across the country the last couple of years. So we want to kind of be ahead of the game on that. So those 14 members of our student athlete leadership team, SALT, we'll be working on that. That's everybody, it's freshmen, both males and females from freshman to senior on that committee. We have a presenter coming in to talk about sports nutrition and eating disorders, Suzanne Iavani, who came in and spoke to staff, PE staff, but also coaches during our last early release day. Will be coming on November 9th to speak to students from 3 to 4:15. And we haven't picked our students yet, but the Sportsmanship Summit at Gillette Stadium, it's done by the MI every year, a really good event. It's coming up on November 10th. We'll be bringing several students and a coach to that. Nice thing about that is we get 2 staff there because I'm on the MI Sportsmanship Committee, so I get to go for free even though I'm working at the event. So we have 2 staff rather than just 1. I think that's it on sports. I did want to give a couple of things too. Mr. Tully did a great job today, and Mr. McLaughlin running our Veterans Day program. So wanted to give them credit for that. They really did a really nice job. Students were outstanding. The band sounded great. All the speakers were, including Mr. Christie and Mr. Cleary, were outstanding today. So that was very nice for our 20 or so veterans that were in attendance. We had our Golden Panther Awards this week on Halloween, and our October winners were Mr. Southwick and Ms. Nunez on the teacher side, or the staff side, and then 12th grade was Ashley Rose Whitney, 11th grade was Cole Henley Kleska, 10th grade Malia Figueroa, and 9th grade Izzy Pepin. In September, because I wasn't here last month, John Thomas, our custodian, was one of our staff winners. Mr. Kenny Prescott was the other staff winner. 12th grade Sam Ostreicher, 11th grade Alana Granberg, 10th grade Neve Fallon, and 9th grade Kelsey Peterson. We've opened nominations up for November. The nice thing I've seen is that the large majority of nominations are coming from students, for both staff and students, and they've gone up exponentially each month. The first month, I think we had 125 total. This past month, we had 166 total. Our goal for November is to have 200 total nominations. So I think we've already gotten, as of this morning, 50 nominations between staff and students as of today. So that was also excellent to see. Any questions about the sports report?
Could I just make a comment? I love how you're having middle school come up and use the field. So thank you for doing that. And
It's been nice. We've only had to use Wildboro twice, which is, it's great that Keith Began and the town of Shirley has been very cooperative with us over the years. And we love using their facility, but whenever possible, I like to get them up here and use the facility here. And it just, I'd love to say I did it by design, but it just happened to work out that the middle school games and the high school games didn't fall on the same day. And with far fewer cancellations due to weather on the turf field, it worked out very nicely.
yeah, I think that's great. Just wanted to throw that in.
Yeah, that's great. Anybody else? I'm really interested in the leadership group, and you know, we always have problems of some minor thing with the audience, with the visitors. So is that pretty well not happening? And I have another trivia question.
Yeah, we haven't had a ton of major issues. They're minor issues and more typical.
I mean, I think it's
high school
fantastic someone started this, and I don't remember hearing about it before.
Yeah, we had it pre-COVID. We haven't had it since COVID.
Oh, okay.
We called it something else, but we changed the name this year. That was one of the things, the first meeting we talked about. They didn't like Student Athlete Advisory Council because of the acronym that it created. So we switched.
Now I have to think about this.
This one. So it's good. The other thing that's coming up too is our lacrosse program has been growing. So we've got the lacrosse that's out here. I believe Groton Dunstable, who we call up our girls program with, is going to play a large chunk of our home games here.
Okay.
That's still in negotiation because they don't have a coach currently. But once that coach is in, likelihood is we'll play at least half of the home lacrosse games with our co-op with Groton Dunstable here at our field. So it's going to be nice. We
So
have
that's
plenty of
fall.
nets.
So is that a spring sport? I think
That's a
that
spring
lacrosse is spring? Yeah,
But
okay.
that's probably coming up for the use of the track, the field and the track in the spring. And if you haven't been out to see the baseball field, it's pretty much wrapped up. It's fantastic.
Good.
The grass looks outstanding right now.
Anyone else? Well, my trivia question is, because I go along in a fog, what time is the Thanksgiving Day parade? Game?
10 a.m. is the
10
game.
a.m., that's what I thought, but just for the
It'll take
public.
a few minutes
We'll pretend
depending
it's
on
just
how
for
much
the public
traffic
and
we
not
get
for
from the
me.
road race, but try to kick off at 10 a.m. I think 2018 we kicked off a little later, but that was, if you remember, that was a very icy, snowy year.
That was the-
Basically played on a sheet of ice. It was like
Right,
the ice bowl.
right.
Green Bay Packer fame.
And we're playing Littleton,
We were playing back to
which is
playing Littleton again.
which is the game always, right?
And last year we played West Boylston, but this year we're back to Littleton.
Back to Littleton. Okay. Thank you. That's just for the public, and me. So that's great. Anybody else for
But it looks
Steve?
like you have some proposed offerings.
Yes, so, some group of students have approached me earlier this year about the possibility of adding a couple spring sports, which we don't have a ton of spring sports, so I was willing to listen. I said, if you can go out and find students who don't already participate in a spring sport, because I don't want to be taking students away from other sports, I would take a look at it. Now, for the spring, we could do it, there's a lot of ways this could be done. It could be done as a club, for the first season, it can be done as a JV team for the first season, or it can be done as a varsity team for the first season, especially in girls golf. I think that probably could easily go right into a varsity program without much problem. Because one, we already have a coach, two, we already have a course, and three, we have enough students at the upper levels who are interested. Boys volleyball, that was one of the things I was doing before I came here. I was out in soccer, but we also have our open gym for boys volleyball. We had 14 kids after school last Friday and today for a couple hours just learning the game and practicing and then trying to improve. So because we have, and I did a survey, sent it out, Michelle again was kind enough to send it out for me, and we had 161 responses between grades 4 to 11. I didn't include 12 because they're graduating in the spring so. Boys volleyball had 36 people interested, including 14 who are currently at the high school, and another 10 who are in 7th and 8th grade, all of whom could easily be incorporated into a high school program because we would be able to get the middle school waiver without much problem, 14 players. In girls golf, we had 7 in grades 9 to 11, but there's also another 7 to 8, 12th graders who are interested in participating, and then another 10 in grades 6 to 8, and then 25 total between grades 4 to 11 who are interested in girls golf. Just to give you some other numbers besides those two, I'm not presenting anything else, but just to give you an idea of new sport possibilities. Some of these are already sports we offer with co-ops. Boys lacrosse between grades 4 and 11, we had 55 kids interested. In girls lacrosse, and we co-op, boys lacrosse we co-op with Lunenburg, girls lacrosse we co-op with Groton, 41, boys volleyball 36, golf 25, field hockey, which is a sport we don't offer currently, 34, most of them in the lower grades, 4 through 8. Girls flag football I put on there because that is a proposal in front of the MIA this year for adding that as a sport. We're actually the only school that I know of in Massachusetts has had someone get a scholarship for girls flag football. Tori Salmon did that last year. So looking at that as a possibility in the future, then obviously I said the girls ice hockey at 17. So I guess the proposal on the board for tonight is both girls golf and boys volleyball. Would keep us still in line with the number of sports we offer, both male and females. The Title IX considerations wouldn't be a problem. I guess the question would be whether we're more comfortable going as a JV or varsity program. Just to give you some numbers on volleyball, the cost for volleyball, coaches, if you did 2 teams, would be about $7,800 total. Probably a little less than that. My math's not great. 7.5. We already have all the equipment, so no equipment would be necessary. We already did that. So we have the balls, they're the same, and that just goes up a little bit higher. The ball just gets inflated a little bit more. That's the only difference between the two. In terms of equipment, we would have to buy uniforms. That would be approximately, depending on vendor, anywhere from $750 to $1,000. That would for 2 teams. So eventually we'd want to get to a varsity and a JV team. For the spring, I think 1 team would be more than enough, and I don't know where the level would be. For golf, and then buses for volleyball. For golf, buses would not be an issue. It would be gas for the minibus, because they would just travel to Settlers Crossing most likely for our course. And then uniforms, about $450 approximately for golf uniforms, and coaching stipend for that based on the spring. Fall golf stipend would be about $3,500. A little bit more, $3,527 is the exact amount. So that gives you an idea of overall cost. If we run both 2 varsity programs would be about $12,000 total plus busing, which I can't even begin to predict what that would be. My goal, if we did do a varsity or JV volleyball, would probably be 12 matches. We would be an independent, so we would not play the Midland Wachusett League teams, which I don't think I don't know if even our 10th year would be ready to be playing Algonquin and Shrewsbury and Leominster. We'd probably play more of a Worcester-based school, Doherty, North, Worcester Tech, who are probably more in line with our competitive level early on. Girls golf, we would compete in the Midwatch. There's only 14 other schools that offer it. And that's one thing too with these 2 sports, is they are going to be sports that aren't offered by a lot of other schools in the area. So it might be a way to keep some kids who might want to play boys volleyball from going to a Neshoba Tech or an Mass Event or Monty Tech that do offer these particular sports. In girls golf, the only other Midwatch teams that offer it are Quabbin, Westboro, Leominster, and I can't read my own handwriting, Neshoba. Which I should have known without even having to look because they had it when I was there. So those are what we're looking for. There's also there's some other sports I'm looking for middle school level, but those will be proposed to Mr. Plunkett in a couple months for a budget presentation. So the good news is our participation numbers continue to rise. Where other schools it seems to be falling, we seem to be continuing to go up in our participation numbers. And we've got a lot of support for lacrosse. Sean Miller, who's a parent in the middle school, is the boys lacrosse coach at Lincoln Sudbury. We already had a couple of meetings about doing a youth lacrosse league here, youth lacrosse team for grade 6 to 8 out of our field this summer, and doing some camps and clinics as well.
So if I understand, then what we are looking at tonight is the girls golf varsity and the boys volleyball.
An undetermined level.
Undetermined level. Question mark.
My guess would be JV, but we could also run it as operate as a club team, or can still get games for them. Either way with some of the junior varsity programs. And there are several local schools who have them. So like Innovation Academy in Kingsborough, Leominster and Fitchburg both have junior varsity programs, and we could easily play against that level as well. But it could also be offered as a club.
Michelle?
Do you have any indication, and this is just out of curiosity, but how many of the students that are looking to play like either the boys volleyball or the golf are already existing athletes that play different sports, or are there any?
The ones who have told me they're interested, in girls golf, there's one that played softball, but she wasn't planning on playing softball this year. On the boys volleyball side, there's one track athlete who said he's not running track, whether we have boys volleyball or not. And two baseball players, both of whom felt they were not going to make the team this year as seniors and juniors with the very senior-heavy baseball squad that we have this year.
I'm not asking that because I'm wondering about having it take away from the other sports. I'm asking because I'm wondering if they're new like if they're not, if this is the first sport they'll try.
There's at least 3 boys volleyball players for sure who have never played anything else in the entire time they've been here. I've been here since they've been here.
Which I like to hear because it's giving
and the
someone
girls
a new
golf
opportunity.
side, most of the seniors have done something but one, and there's some underclassmen. I didn't collect the emails when I did the survey, but there are some 9th and 10th graders, so I don't know if they've played something previously or not. So
Okay.
the ones who have come to me is one that has not played anything at all in 4 years of high school.
Yeah, that's good.
Which would be the goal in adding a new sport, try to bring kids who don't either don't play a spring sport or haven't done anything and get more people involved.
Yeah.
Mr. Quinty?
Is there a way to, I'm sure they already have segments where they do it already, to work with the junior high or the high school PE to maybe extend the amount of time that they, I know they try to introduce them to different sports.
Yep.
Maybe extend the amount of time of all of it. But I just remember back in the day, it's like sometimes you can go to gym and go like, oh, this. But no one ever said that volleyball. Volleyball was always going to be a good time. I don't know if there's somewhere to take a look at that, like, the more you get kids playing this and introduce them at that level might help feed the program a little bit, because the towns aren't clearly set up to feed you anybody. If anything, we try to feed, basketball, baseball, softball, soccer. There are recreation programs that the town feeds out, but that's like all you're giving kids, so.
Yeah, volleyball is a very difficult sport to have a league because there's not a lot of towns who have it.
Right.
The town of Air Rec Department's done a really nice job of running clinics open in both towns, and we've had up to 50 kids in those clinics running on Monday and Thursday night. But they're still, at the end of the day, they're just clinics, and you want them competing as much as possible. And I know both Mark Justo and Lindsay Rocco spend a lot of time in volleyball here. Lindsay being a volleyball coach and official, she certainly is a strong proponent of it. And I know I can talk with Brian and Justin at the middle school, but I know they're certainly open to more volleyball, because I know that's something they do often, work on skills. It does build a lot of different skills, not just eye-hand coordination, but a lot of jumping and running, side-to-side movement. That are all part of the PE curriculum anyway, so it's combining a lot of those skills, so it's a really good idea.
Right.
Chris? Okay. I think you have to have volleyball, because I worked in two high-tech companies, and everybody played volleyball at lunch, so you better be prepared to.
And also, our girls program is.
It's
grown
a
by leaps and
professional
bounds the
training,
last few years.
actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that usually has a big draw.
We're up to,
A lot
we
of
had
numbers.
3 teams the last 2 years. We were the only team in the Midwest that did not have 3 teams up until last year. Now we do. In fact, you know, we borderline could have enough for 4 teams, since how many students have participated the last couple of years. And that, to the girls' credit, they've been up here at the open gym helping some of the boys learn. So it's been really nice to see last Friday and today that cooperation. The amount of kids who stayed after school on Friday, to me, was incredibly impressive. That 15 or 16 kids stay after school on a Friday just to try to learn volleyball.
Oh, well, you having fun?
Yeah, they had a great time.
Astounding.
Great time today.
Can I just?
And Steve won't say it, but I will. Steve's wife, Dana Kendall, actually started with the boys volleyball team by holding a circle where they could learn to communicate appropriately, build teamwork, and really start that as the basis for the team. And the work was excellent. Walking in and seeing them afterwards, it was a team that was smiling. They were so thrilled that they'd started with communication and trust really as the center of that team. It was phenomenal to watch.
Great.
I want to give Jordan Gray, our junior, he's done a fantastic job of organizing and getting people organized. He does want to approach Mrs. Kendall about running a community circle down to top-level communication. So give a lot of credit to Jordan for that as well.
I just had one quick question. When you were talking about the numbers, at what point, like when you were talking about lacrosse, would we would we have to host our own team? Is there a point that we might get to that we won't be able to?
That's really the goal of every co-op should be to try to get your own team at some point. I mean, there are some sports where that's probably not logistically possible, like ice hockey. But I think lacrosse is a strong possibility, especially if we are able to get at this Mass Bay Youth League that runs out of this, not a school program, but
Yeah.
it's run out of our field that we support. By equipment, because we can get grants for equipment and things like that. And if we can have a coach of the stature of Sean Miller to come out and work with our kids at that level, it's only going to enhance the possibility that they're going to want to play lacrosse as they can
Yeah, okay.
get older.
It seems to be the sport that's taking over.
It's weird, it goes up, it's
that
like
you
a
ever
real
talked
sport,
to.
it goes up and down though. I remember I coached softball obviously for a long time at the show, but I remember them telling me that you're not going to have a softball team in 10 years. And my softball team actually beat the girls lacrosse team in the scrimmage, only scrimmaged in lacrosse. Because they're really superior athletes playing softball. But it's one of those, it's a very popular sport at the youth level. My son's harassing me about playing lacrosse. He's only 6. I'm like, oh, they have 6-year-old lacrosse here. But that's certainly something that could be on the horizon, I think, for us to have our own. Especially on the boys' side, it looks like with the numbers.
Yeah, the way you
that are coming
said, like,
out.
50 people.
I know there's a lot in the middle school who play.
That's great.
We're up to 6, I believe, on the girls' side for next year.
Well, if someone would like to make a motion for boys volleyball and girls golf, I would entertain it.
I make a motion that we approve the proposed new offerings by Mr. Kendall of girls golf and boys volleyball.
I would second that motion.
Is there any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, I would call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None? That is unanimous. Mr. Kendall, I can't tell you how much we love having you come, so.
It's always a pleasure to come and talk about athletics.
I'm sure after all the games in the afternoon, this is the only thing you want to do, so.
Our coaches do a great job, and we have a lot of support from all of you, administration, both at the high school and district level, and the middle school. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention this, I almost forgot. We have started a unified intramural at Laura White. So that's been running on Wednesday, so if you're not busy tomorrow at 3:30, that's going on from 3:30 to 4:30 down Laura White in the gym. So that's great that that's been started by our staff down there. So real credit to them at that level as well.
Well, maybe we'll start a biking team sometime. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it. At least once a month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the next thing we have is on item, under new business, item D, are the Massachusetts Association of School Committees Convention Conference resolutions. which you have received, and there's 5 of them this year. My hand's not working, sorry. There's 5 of them this year, and we need to vote on them tonight because it's whatever you vote to support or to not support. They will be voted that way tomorrow afternoon at the conference. So if anybody has any questions, I would probably just read the therefore it be resolved, or we could start with whereas therefore it be resolved. But I think if we do the question and therefore be it resolved, that would probably be the quickest way. Does anybody have any other way they would like to do it? Or does that work?
It's fine.
Okay. Resolution 1 is regarding sanctuary laws for transgender students. It's sponsored by the Lexington School Committee and co-sponsored by the Worcester, Somerville, Grafton, and Franklin School Committees. Therefore, be it resolved that the Massachusetts Association of School Committees calls on the Great and General Court to join with other states in the passage of so-called sanctuary laws to ensure that such children and their families have the power of enjoying in safety and tranquility their natural rights and the blessings of life as guaranteed by the Constitution of the Commonwealth. Does anybody have any comments or questions on that? In which case, I will just ask if you support that by asking for a yes vote or a no vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're saying that we would support that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And feel free, because however it's voted is how I'm going to represent it. Okay, so that is yes. Jim, do you wish to?
I'm just going to abstain. I mean,
Abstain?
It lists the U.S. Constitution, Massachusetts Constitution. I don't have any background to evaluate any of this.
Okay.
My opinion on this is not worth anything.
All right, so we have 3. Okay. Resolution 2 to increase the maximum balance allowed by the Special Education Reserve Fund. I don't think we need to talk about the rationale on that too much. Therefore, it be resolved that the Massachusetts Association of School Committees calls upon the Massachusetts legislature to amend Chapter 40, Section 13E by deleting 2% of the annual school net spending and by inserting the following 5% of the annual net school spending. Let me just go on with that a little bit because I think it's interesting. The current prices for special education day programs in Massachusetts collaboratives can cost a district between $50,000 and $70,000 per student, and private provider day programs can cost districts between $70,000 and $100,000 per student. These prices do not include the cost of transportation the students to separate settings, which is part of the overall price and can fluctuate in cost. Private residential special education settings can cost a district between $120,000 and $250,000 a student. Mr. Renda, do you maybe have a comment on that before we call for preference?
Well, we would certainly be in favor of increasing that.
I was going to ask our finance guy, but I think the ayes have it.
So if I would ask who is in favor of that, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And I am certainly in favor of that. This has been something that's been a cost detriment for a long, long time. There's only 5 of these guys, so it's not bad. Resolution 3, membership of the Board of the Elementary and Secondary Education. Therefore, it be resolved the Massachusetts Association of School Committee calls for the enactment of legislation to repeal the provision of the Massachusetts law that prohibits practicing educators and sitting school committee members from serving on the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education. And that's because they feel that the professional expertise and commitment to public governance should not disqualify a person from serving in a leadership role. I think this has I don't think it's been brought up directly before. I don't think we've seen it before. Mr. Renda, did you want to say something?
I would certainly be in favor of someone who has expertise in education or holds a Massachusetts license in any field to be part of.
Part of the
board.
governing body of that group?
Absolutely.
Anybody else have any questions or comments on Resolution 3? Hearing, seeing none, I would say who is in favor?
Yeah,
Resolution 4, preserving school governance of Massachusetts preserving local governance of Massachusetts schools. Therefore, be it resolved that the Massachusetts Association of School Committees calls on the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to restore local governance and accountability for Lawrence, Holyoke, Southbridge Public Schools no later than July 23rd, and be it resolved that the Massachusetts Association of School Committees calls on the Massachusetts legislature to enact legislation to limit any future state takeovers to a term of not more than 3 years. These are schools that have had some financial problems, and they've been taken over by the state, and that started with Lawrence in 2011, Holyoke in 2015, and Southbridge in 2016. And the strategy, they have no plan to, or a time limit for restoring local governance and accountability to the voters of Lawrence, Holyoke, and Southbridge. So this was, of course, put on by the Arlington School Committee, who wasn't taken over. So I think it's kind of an interesting resolution.
Madam Chair,
Anybody want to
if I may?
comment on that?
Well, I believe, I think it might have been Southbridge that was taken over for financial reasons, but this is also accountability status as far as state accountability testing, MCAS, is why I believe Holyoke and Lawrence, and I could have these mixed up, but it's not just financial, but
No,
it's
I
also.
think you're right.
Yeah,
And
it's also not out of the blue. The districts for a long time know that, hey, you're in the bump, you're scraping, your kilo at the bottom right here. Something has to happen and after a couple of years of that, it's like, well, nothing is spurred. So they don't jump on top of the school district after one bad year.
Well, the thing is, they might not, that's fine, but the thing is, how long do they keep jumping on them? When do they say, what accountability do they say to turn it back to those towns?
If they want to put limits, I would base the limits on performance.
Yeah, I wouldn't
That's
say
okay,
time.
But on a year thing, I would never agree to a year.
So do you wish to support this or not?
I say no.
No.
Yeah, I would say no too. I don't
Okay.
think it's up to us to determine what's happening in those 3 districts.
I think they just have not, probably COVID has probably been a big influence of this whole, sounds like a mess. Okay. Am I wrong here? Oh, there's 6. I'm sorry, there's 6. Resolution 5, personal financial literacy education. Therefore, it be resolved that Massachusetts MSAC file legislation that would have effect of ensuring that all students have exposure to personal financial literacy curricula and ultimately graduate from high school with a lifelong knowledge of how to be fiscally responsible to afford being deterred by financial woes. This legislation should ensure that the students at various levels would benefit from curriculum in Massachusetts public schools, which include content of personal financial literacy. Did we start teaching something like that
Yeah, we have that.
We
this
do
year?
this, yes. We do this. It's
this year, right?
Dollars and Cents is the name of the
No,
class.
it's been there for
No, a
several
couple of
years.
A few, since I've been here, yes, at least 2 years, if
Or
not
before that, too.
So we don't see any problem with encouraging it.
I think it's a great idea. What do you think? Chris,
Chris?
did I speak over you?
No, you didn't. Is this saying that they would require, or they would file legislation that would require financial literacy, which?
Ensuring.
Ensure that the students at various levels would benefit from curriculum in Massachusetts public schools, which would include content of personal financial literacy.
I'm all for and wish I had a financial literacy course offered to me in high school.
I think it's certainly raising an awareness, whether it's through some, whatever financial planning, that you have to take care of yourself sometime and know where your dollars come from.
Well, no matter what you do after high school, whether you're going to go to work and, you know, earn money, or if you go to college and they're going to hand out credit card things at the, you know.
For free.
Here, take this credit card. Kids need to know what that means and have a basic understanding. I think if they're going to learn anything in school, that's one big thing they should be learning.
It's kind of a life skill that, and sometimes I think it's shuffled around, and the students that I work with, you'd be surprised how they have no concept between
How
their
many
check,
districts don't
anything
offer
else.
this at this point?
Oh, I think there's probably quite a few.
And I mean, I guess, I mean, this is one of those things where I'm like, is this the sort of thing that requires legislation?
You would
Well,
hope
this
not,
was
but-
sponsored by Framingham, so I think this was not sponsored by some banker. It was sponsored by Framingham
No, bankers
School Committee.
don't want people having financial literacy.
Yeah, maybe that's true.
The curriculum for financial literacy is not limited to just high school.
Yeah.
It actually cuts across K to 12.
Totally.
So there are curricular programs that are out there now that are being supported at all levels. I don't know very many districts who have adopted kind of full-scale K to 12 financial literacy. I know several high schools who have adopted financial literacy components as part of their schooling. And the state is also incentivizing the implementation of financial literacy curriculum through grants, which are actually out there now. We're not in a place, given where we are in implementation of different programs at different levels, we're not in a place to implement another program.
But it could be woven
opposed.
into.
I'm not opposed to this, certainly. Like, I look at my own kids and I go, yeah, you need some help with this, for sure.
I think that's my, so while I am philosophically in favor of all students, and I personally would like to take a class on financial literacy, I feel like requiring or passing legislation when school, you know, again, I think local schools should be making that decision. And I would worry about the implementation of something like this and what the requirements might look like, would be my sort of personal worry.
I think you're kind of far from that.
Sure.
You know, but.
This is currently an elective for us.
Yeah.
It is an elective? Like, it's not something?
It's a graduation
A
requirement.
requirement, yeah, I thought.
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to ask that, I thought it was.
Since I worked with a student who had no idea, who was a straight A, high-level student in a very well-respected local school district. And he had no idea that you paid sales tax on something. I think, you know, there's a lot of ignorance out there that they've been very protected, and I'm like, what?
Well, sales tax is actually probably something even more, I mean, I would want a kid just to know how to write a check. I mean, people don't write a lot of checks anymore, but even like those simple interest in a bank account and things like that. I mean, sales tax is even advanced for some kids.
It was very advanced. I'm like, what do you do in school? He says, I make an A in physics. I'm like, how about an A in walking down the street?
Well, there's a difference between book smart and,
You're right.
yeah.
Jim, do you have a comment?
I mean, I think we're handling it locally, and I think most of the communities have people on school boards that live in the same world we live in. And this is the kind of stuff that you can handle locally, because you're looking at all the other things you're trying to balance, all the other programs you have. You can find something that fits your situation. I just don't like having something come down from the state that says, all right, everybody's now going to do this. I think we can do something that equips our students, and I think the other school committees are equally capable of doing the same.
I think it's interesting, it's from a town such as Framingham. So, and we have very diverse communities now of kids coming in who maybe don't know how the financial world works at all, their own finances. Anyway, how many in favor and how many against?
Can I just add one more comment, sorry?
Sure, please.
The only piece that seems somewhat unclear to me is the last line of the resolution about the legislation ensuring students at various levels will benefit from curriculum.
We can always.
The implication is, I mean, if you take it at face value, it says, well, yeah, you benefit from curriculum. But if the implication is like that it's gonna turn into, you must use a curriculum.
Oh.
That's the difference.
Mandate.
And I don't know what
Or
the
here's
intent.
your grade
Right, I
two
don't know
financial
what the
literacy
intent is.
standards that are now.
Yeah.
I mean, we can propose any changes that we wish to any of these. We can change the wording and propose our own wording. So if you don't like the way it's written, if we want to change it to make it more general or something, then let's put in, this is an open meeting, and we can put any change in that we want as a proposal. Everybody don't get too excited.
I don't think we need to go that far with it, as far as changing stuff, personally. But I don't even know if we have consensus over supporting it. It sounds like it's 2-2 anyway.
Okay, do we have yay?
Well, I think it's a good thing that we should be teaching kids. I mean, I'm not really, stuck on the state having to have legislation on it, but, I mean, I'm glad we do it and require it, and I would hope that, most do, but I don't know. I mean, I don't.
That most teachers would not approve the state legislating it, and I think you're right, school districts do it.
Yeah.
But I don't think we know that school districts do it. That, obviously, someone thinks school districts don't do it, so I don't know if we know that. So, yes, no, give me yays. No. Jim?
No.
No. Michelle?
I'm a yes, because I think it's important enough, but.
Well, I'll see what kind of amendments are made to it, and we're divided, and we could just not vote and see what happens, see what the vote is, comes down. The last one is maybe the most important one. Resolution 6, establishment of a regional school assessment reserve fund. And therefore, it be resolved that the Massachusetts Association of School Committees calls upon the Massachusetts legislature to enact or amend legislation which permits municipalities to establish regional school assessment reserve fund. Okay. And they have a language for that. It's to amend Mass General Law Part 1, Title 7, Chapter 40 by inserting Section 13F as follows. That the towns put any municipality which accepts this section by a majority of vote of the municipality's legislative body may establish and appropriate or transfer money to a reserve fund to be utilized in the upcoming fiscal years to pay for regional assessment in the years when the regional assessment increases by more than 35% over the previous year's regional assessment. The balance in the reserve fund shall not exceed 10% of the annual regional assessment for the municipality. Funds shall be only distributed from the reserve funds by a majority vote of the municipality's legislative body in years when the regional assessment is more than 3.5%. Did anyone say, is that a mistake up there? More than 3.5% in order to bring the regional assessment down to less than a 2.5, to no less than a 2.5%. The municipal treasurer may invest the monies in a manner authorized by Section 54 of Chapter 44, and any interest earned thereon should be credited to and become part of the fund, so it gets rolled over. I actually went to our town director, what do we call him? And to say...
Treasurer?
No, the town manager. Town manager. Huh?
We have an administrator.
Administrator, thank you. I didn't have the title. The town administrator, and kind of ran this by him to say, as a region, yeah, we want to make sure that we're going to have some money there, so we don't have a problem with this. But he kind of him and hawed, and I said, well, it's going to be a couple of years down the road by the time they get a law changed, but this is the direction going. And I think what has spurred this is so many towns have had big increases in regions in their buses and stuff, and they're having a terrible time being supported. So it's kind of a rainy day fund, as I read it. Am I wrong about that? Does anybody have a different interpretation?
But what they're asking you, you're going to be at the town meeting trying to create a slush fund for a future year. God save the person that's on the board trying to get through this.
That's why
I think it's a fine idea, but I don't see how in hell you're going to come out of the building if you're headed to put this thing forward. Because usually you're right down to the wire trying to meet your 2.5. So it will be tough to carve something out to create a fund. But that being said, I mean, this doesn't say you have to do it, but just gives you the opportunity to do it. But I
Right.
think, we would have a difficult time with this, and I'm not going to speak to it on the floor. This comes to the floor.
Well, it's never bad, and I think has to do with regional assessments, which can always be difficult. Now, in towns where you have 10 towns, and Shirley gets to vote last, to use Shirley as an example, it doesn't matter how we vote by the time they get to us, because everybody else has passed something or negated something, so it never comes to it. But I don't think this is bad to have this as a back pocket thing, whether you go ahead and enact it or not. It allows you to do it, and at this point, our towns are very good. So I don't know that we'd ever be calling on it. Bill is looking at me very strangely, since you are the keeper of the keys.
Yeah, I'd like to know if that
What do you think about it?
35% is a mistake.
Yeah.
I think it is. It's supposed to be 3.5. It's a
There's no way it's
misprint.
going to be a 35% increase.
Because I've read this a couple of times, and I'm sure I went 35 when I was reading it. I think that should be the 3.5 that's in the bottom paragraph there.
So like Jim said, it's putting money aside for a rainy day in case you have, a bad assessment year. So I don't know if you're going to get traction on that.
Well, it's the thing, there's just so many,
many.
just so much out of control. So many things can be out of your control. I think that's what they're running into, particularly out in Western Mass, where they're having buses that are costing them an arm and a leg, and they can't cover it. They're taking it out of their education.
Those are poor communities already that can barely pass their budgets.
Where's
I
Silver
don't have a
Lake?
problem with it because the town government has to enact this.
Right,
To
right.
create the fund. So if you can't pass it, nobody puts it forward. This doesn't hurt anything. So if there's somebody that wants to do it, I'm in favor of this. Go ahead and do it. But I think there's a very small number of communities that could pass this. But if they want to, I got nothing against it.
And they may have to try to do it just because they're in trouble all the time anyway, and if they can at least have some,
Kingston.
Kingston,
Never
yes,
even
out
heard of
there, and
that.
there's only like 10
West.
towns, and they only drive 5,000 miles a day.
Oh, Kingston.
So, Jim, are you saying yes?
I'm saying yes.
Chris?
Sure.
Michelle?
Sure.
And I do too. All right, so that's 4. All right, and then I will bring back to you.
Sure.
It's to have a rainy, personally, financial revealing here. You've got extra money in your back pocket that's been folded and you've been saved,
Do they ever report back on how many of these things actually either come to fruition or that
Well,
they?
yeah, there are reports that come out if you read the newsletter that they will talk about things that they have put through and things. Some of these never pass, and some of them do. But this is our group that we ask to speak for us. And sometime, if we want to come up with something that we would like to see happening at the state level, we're not going to get it by just using our voice. No one's going to get this by being a single town or a single legislator or anything to do these. So this is our opportunity. And if we wish to come up with a resolution, I think they have to be in by June, comes to mind, then let's do it. Some of these school committees are very active. They have something that's like, we see a lot of special education ones, because those are where people are getting hit in the stomach and they're out of control. So, and that's the other thing. If you had a high number of students who moved in who needed instant attention, you might have to raise your budget a bit. So, we are out here with a lot of unknowns, and never hurts to try. If we don't try, we're not going to get it. Anyway, thank you very much. I will give you how the voting went at the next school committee meeting. It's always fun because somebody always has some very strange questions. I'm like, oh, that's a good thought. And then some people just go on and on. I would like to move the policy review report up to the next item and ask Mr. Rinda if he doesn't mind waiting because I think we've had this on the agenda for a while. And if I would ask Chris to go through A, B, C, and D. And we're asking for approval on those sections tonight.
Why are we moving?
Just so that it gets done. It's just going before the superintendent's report, that's all, Jim.
Well, we have ongoing business, right?
The superintendent's
Number
report
10.
is number 9,
Yeah.
and then number 10 is ongoing business, and I'm just asking to move the policy review report up.
I'm okay with that, but I just want to let you know I have extensive edits.
Pardon?
I have extensive edits.
Oh,
as
extensive
usual.
edits.
Oh, okay,
This
so
is
then,
not a surprise.
so then that's
This will be the longest
all the
part.
more reason that we need to try to get through this and not put it off again.
All right. For the policy review, this has been a long time coming. We were fortunately able in September to get a quorum to go through section C and D. And those drafts are in the folders that folks have. And I think we can do one of two things. The initial proposal was to vote in line on this, although I was hoping Erica would check me on that. I think in terms of if there are edits and recommendations, I would certainly love feedback in terms of, are they substantive, grammatical, sort of the scale of feedback from the committee on the current drafts that you all have. And we can start in any order. We've looked at A and D already.
I would say that, for me, D, I have no change.
Tremendous. Then I'll say I did that one.
Since we are voting these separately, should we take D and have a motion to accept it? And then we have one section.
We could do that. It's also helpful if we go, if there's any feedback on the other sections, so I know what we're working with in terms of going back to Dorothy.
Okay, so we don't have to do D, right? D's been done.
Well, Jim doesn't have feedback, but there are 3 other members here.
We asked Mr. Plunkett to go through policy D, since that had a lot of with the fiscal management. And Mr. Plunkett, if I remember correctly, you were copacetic with D as we have it.
Yeah, I reviewed it, and I didn't have any issues with any of the language as is.
Okay, thank you.
So we can go in any, is there any other feedback on D, Michelle or Joyce?
On me?
Yeah.
On D?
D.
No.
Great. We'll put that one aside for a moment. We can vote on it.
Okay.
Internal, do we want to start at the top or work backwards?
Let's go with C, because I
Great,
have one.
C.
And if this is,
Okay.
and it's just on the first page,
Okay.
all right, in the third paragraph, it starts with the organization and administration.
Yeah.
That paragraph. I hated the term, this means that. It doesn't belong in a professional document. So
What paragraph are you in, please?
Third paragraph.
Third paragraph,
I struck
found
the
it.
words, this means that,
Mm-hmm.
and just left it as staff members, when assigned the responsibility of a position,
Yeah.
we know that this means that, that's why it's there. You don't have to tell me that's what it is. So that's the only change I have.
So it's a deletion for grammar, or,
Yeah.
okay.
Form.
Great.
Can we accept that with understanding that that will be
We
done?
could vote on that with that phrase struck from it.
Okay?
All right?
Can I just ask,
Yes.
this is, I'm not trying to be nitpicky.
No, please.
But the use of this means that, is that, they're trying to, like, provide an example? Like, this means that a staff member, right? Am I reading that right? So, like, if you were to just put the word therefore, a staff member who, like, just to kind of transition
think
from
those are good?
staff member, to take out this means that and maybe put therefore, or an example, or I think therefore is probably better, but just because I'm thinking, the reason that that is there is because it's giving an example of the sentence prior. If you're okay with that.
I like therefore.
In CA, administration goals, under file CA, in the third paragraph, in the second sentence, we would insert therefore, a staff member when assigned, et cetera, et cetera. Do we have any other additions or corrections to C?
No, ma'am.
Now, if I,
Administration goals.
yeah. Now, section A and B, I know we have gone through, and I know, Jim, you have edits that I think went to Erica in June, and Erica couldn't find when we last met with the board meeting. So I have a feeling the feedback that you have
It was not reflected.
is probably still reflected in your current handwriting.
Right.
And so if you have that written now, maybe what we can do is vote in section C and D. Michelle, maybe can we photocopy Jim's edits while we're in this building tonight so that we don't lose them and they don't?
I'll probably have, I wrote them so I could read them, because nobody else
Uh-oh,
can
here it
possibly read these.
Okay.
She will have no prayer. So I will have to either rewrite them or sit with her when she has to do it, something like that.
Do you know, Jim, do you have a reference as to which sections of A, which ones need to be looked at and which ones don't need to be looked at?
Let's see. If I'm looking at the list of policies, I have AC, ACR, ACA, ACE, AP.
Wait a minute, you're ahead of me.
I say we go with that second plan and not, let the plan you just proposed and let Jim provide his, it
Okay.
sounds like it's not two, it's a list there, so I
But
want
some
to
of
make
these
sure.
are just strictly law, and they're going to happen whether we accept them or not.
But I think we need to look at what Jim's giving us instead of trying to look quickly and say, oh yeah, that's strictly law.
Well, we
forget
got
it.
way past where I thought we'd be.
Yeah, I think we should do C and D and then move on with personally, because I don't think we're going to resolve A and B tonight.
Okay. I would like to propose that, because of some of the changes we've made, policy AAA should be held out of section A until we get to the end. So I would remove that, I would put that into a hold.
Well, I don't think if we don't
Or maybe it
adjust
doesn't
section,
matter.
if we don't
Yeah.
vote on section A, then we
Right.
don't need to do anything to it. We can leave section A.
Okay.
We can,
And is B the same, Jim?
Yeah, so if tonight we vote in C and D, then C and D replaces C and D in our current manual, and that's up to date.
and that would be more progress than we've made.
Yeah, I say we err on the side of progress.
Right, let's get going.
Yes, and let's not stay here for many hours. Let's find a way that either Jim and I,
sounds
or
like-
Jim, Dorothy, Erica and I
Right.
can go through the updates, because
Well, maybe if they get resent to both of you, and Michelle's holding her head, so I don't know what you...
because again, I
Michelle's like, we
know
wanna
you
get this
shared them
done.
once, and I feel
Right.
really terribly that you've shared them once, you've now gone through it again and made notes, and I want to
Because
use
this
your
is-
time well.
This is serious, but this is serious work that we can't. So, Jim, if you go back through all your changes that you make, or like, that one was a good one, but it's, you know, if it went through and we could change it later, we could bring it back later to look at. That's why I asked you how many you had that had distinct different meanings.
Massive amounts.
Pardon?
I spent 4 hours in the Auburn Library, Auburn, Alabama, going through these again, just to get prepared for this, so.
Auburn, Alabama?
Yeah, I went down to see Darren, who's in the
Oh, nice.
in Auburn, and they got spanked by Arkansas, but on a brighter note, they fired their coach yesterday, so that's a good thing.
And look at all the changes that we've got to the politics, so it's a win-win.
Right.
Just 4 hours in the
I
library.
wish you weren't spending 4 hours down there doing
I
this,
just want to go
but
back to college, that's all reminded me of.
To be in the library? College was,
That was so nice.
there is something about a college library.
Yes,
Makes you
isn't
feel
it?
smart and like privileged. Honestly.
Old.
you are. You are.
Look at your arm go like, who doesn't belong in this picture?
Is there a motion, please, on to approve C and D as presented in our materials?
Go ahead, Chris, you did all this work.
I'll make a
You
motion that we approve section C and D as presented.
Second.
With the change to C that we
Oh,
removed.
right.
This means that with therefore.
On page
On
one.
page 1, paragraph.
File CA.
I second this.
Second. Legal references stay the same, which is the important part of any of this. Any other comments or questions on C and D? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Woo-hoo! Go home.
Michelle, when do we have our next meeting? So,
Yeah, when's
sticking
the-
with policy, when is our next meeting with Dorothy? I feel like we were supposed to hear back something.
I don't think we've heard yet.
Okay. I will
She must be so
defer.
sick of us.
No, I don't think we've read here until after the conference.
Okay.
It
Well,
was
that would
something-
make sense.
Something like the middle of the month or something. It wasn't going to be, that's why we,
I thought we were going to meet in the middle of the month, and I just wanted to try to get it
yeah.
on the middle of the month is surprisingly quick, or soon.
It's like 2 weeks.
Yeah, so, okay. We will let folks know when we have our next meeting. And we
Okay.
can go keep trucking along.
In the meantime,
By
if
the
we
way,
can get
the-
Jim's
the-
changes even
the-
just to us, so we can look at
The
them.
first one was very, the meeting that you had was very, very good, and it was very well done on C and D. Thank you for doing that.
So I'll take all the credit for C and D, and we'll put A and B aside.
Superintendent's report, item 9. Thanks for letting us move that forward, because I knew it wasn't going to be.
We're going to start with Assistant Superintendent Cleary.
Hi, just
We don't
wanted to-
have him on the agenda, we only have superintendent's report.
Well, it's part of the superintendent's report. He just gave me a spot of it.
He has superintendent in the name.
Right,
He
so It
qualifies.
counts a little bit. So I just wanted to let you know, November 8th, so that's next Tuesday, Littleton High School is going to host our 6th annual Cross-District PD Day for our Lash Learns celebration. That's our partnership with Littleton, Air Shirley, and Harvard, LASH. And we learn together, so therefore our little moniker has been hashtag Lash Learns. Primary focus of the day is going to be on equity. So we've invited Ken Williams, he's from Unfold the Soul, is going to be our keynote speaker. And we're going to have oodles of other workshops that are going to be available building on that theme of equity, as well as the previous themes we've had from when we've gotten together as this cross-district group. It's important to note, we've talked about this as a district goal and a focus area about identifying I guess, islands of excellence within our district and capacity within our own district. We have 20 staff members from Air Shirley Regional School District who are volunteering to facilitate workshops on this day, which is amazing, given that in years past, we've had somewhere the number we usually run is about 4 to 6. So topics are going to include co-teaching, wind block, science of reading, universal design, restorative practices. We have some other kind of fun ones, poetry, student buy-in, American Sign Language, and there's a host of others. So we're thrilled that we have so many staff members who have kind of volunteered to kind of step up and do this and share their learnings and their expertise with others. It's a huge testament to our staff and their willingness to share with folks from another district.
So is that going to be in a lot of different locations and stuff? since
Nope,
you had so many
it's
things?
Littleton hosts it. So
Littleton?
we all go to Littleton High School. We've been working on planning this day for about 9 months.
And so that's November
8th.
8th.
Yep. So annually, we do it on Election Day in November. A lot of districts are doing this type of thing with professional development because it allows them a little bit more cost flexibility and cost sharing to bring in people who are a little bit more expert in the fields that you want to look at. So we've been
Is that
fortunate
going
to be able to do that for the past several years, and even maintain or continued our partnership. Like last year when we did our keynote, we partnered with Harvard to bring in Mark Brackett. The year before, for this, we brought in George Koros and Alan November. These are a lot of big names in the educational industry, and being able to partner with 2 other districts makes it affordable for the 3 of us. So it's a cool, very cool thing.
Are the co-teaching people our Page Hill top teachers?
The co-teaching group, we have so many groups that are piloting this year that have been our early adopters for co-teaching, so we actually have 4 different teams who are presenting.
Oh, cool.
One from, let me think about this. Is it one from each building? It's one from the high school, one from the middle school, one from Page Hilltop, and another one from the middle school, 2 from the middle school.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
So
don't you feel that if they're taking part in that presentation, that I think you really learn something when you teach it?
yeah, yes.
So it's it's dual-sided
Yes.
sword.
Yeah, as they say, who does the talking does the learning. So when you teach it, you know,
Right.
it's sinking in a little bit more. Helps you with a different perspective.
That's cool.
I just love that like their confidence and their like feeling great about what they're doing, you know, and then wanting to step up and share it. It's really great.
Yeah.
Good.
Been a big push for the past several years, and it's coming to fruition now, which is awesome. This is our first time getting back together in person for this, because we've been remote for the past 3 workshops that we've done for this group, the cross-district group. So this is wonderful to be back together again.
Are there topics that we are hoping Littleton or Harvard are bringing, right? So like we're going to bring WIN and science of reading. Like, are there things that we are hoping that those districts are bringing and going to lead sessions on?
Yep.
What are some of those?
They're doing several. So there's some on STEM, project-based learning. There's some specific like technology tools that people are pushing. Social emotional learning has been a big push. Equity is a theme, instruction for mathematics. There are several others, but I can't remember all of them off the top of my head.
Great.
So we've done so many different themes over the past several years with these 2 schools, 2 other districts, that we have a pretty good collection of about 5 main themes that cut through. Because originally this group was formed around the shift to one-to-one, which was back in 2016, when we brought one-to-one Chromebooks into the high school. And that's where this started, because every school was doing the same thing at about the same time. And then it has morphed.
And it was all new for everybody.
Yes, and it's morphed significantly. So it was just high school, and then it started to become the district. And it's been, originally was focused on technology integration, and that has transitioned into universal design, instruction, equity, and so it's been fascinating to watch the evolution of this, and frankly drive a little bit of the evolution of this.
Yeah, it's great.
It really is.
Thank you.
Sure.
Question asked and answered.
Yeah. Well, I know that, Madam Chair, you always ask about calendar and professional development, so this is an opportunity to share a little bit of what we do, because I know that you all as a school committee voted in additional early
Well, I
release
think, you know,
days
when
and
the
half
parents are
days.
stuck with their kids at home, they
Yeah.
want to know what the hell is going on.
Yeah. There's a lot of learning going on, which translates into changes in, you know, a lot of learning for our staff.
Yeah.
So
Which
this is a
translates
day
into
off, right?
learning
It's
for our
kind of a
kiddos.
weird week too. I feel like that.
Yeah, with
I've
the
heard
election day.
There's some.
So we don't have
chatter
school
about
that day.
week, but-
Yes, because there's an early release day on Monday, which is
Yeah.
additional training and common planning time and professional learning communities and professional development for staff. Then we have the day off essentially for the election, which is a professional day.
Yeah.
And then Friday with Veterans Day is a holiday.
I think
So
combining
next
that
week
with
is a very strange week.
combining that with election day so that
Yeah.
you don't, you know, kids aren't in school.
Yeah. When we looked at the calendar before, it was to try to identify the date.
I mean, there's no
in this
good
month.
week in November.
There's no good week.
No.
You know,
Yeah, with
conferences
November's
and
insane.
other half days that exist, it just didn't work.
Yeah.
Right.
So
That's
Friday's
great.
the holiday?
Friday's the holiday.
Okay.
We did a survey with parents last year as to what they would prefer, didn't we, when we
Yeah.
were planning?
The
And
early or late.
the early or late, or half days or whole days, and what was the,
It was overwhelmingly early release. It was, parents did not like the idea, for the majority of parents, did not like the idea of a late start. Because we were thinking about that for some of the 90-minute days. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we thought it was going to trend that way. I don't know if I was thinking, I think it was like 85-15.
Yeah, it was really high.
It was, yeah, I mean, almost, people did not really like the idea of a late start. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of daycare issues and.
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's good to ask from time to time to see how your population might change and what their needs are.
The result of this is really, Charlie gets a lot of credit for a tremendous amount of work that this takes. Orchestrating with two other districts, and then making sure that our interests are being upheld. You know, he went away from his normal wallflower self and really advocated for some of the things that we want. But really, like when he told shy and timid, Mr. Cleary, he told me that.
When was that? How old was he? No.
That 20 of our staff members were presenting. It was,
I think that's
shocked
tremendous.
and so happy. We want to do this. To me, it tells us a couple of things. Teachers are believing in the direction that we're going, and they're willing to, one, two, they're willing to buy into internal expertise in PD rather than always hiring an expert to come in and teach us. So I was extremely happy to hear about that, and Charlie and I think the academic coaches right now are the main people identifying that internal expertise for us, but actually this next part of the superintendent's report will kind of fill you in on where we're going with that.
Can I ask one follow-up question?
Sure, please do.
So we have 20 staff members. Do we have any idea of what other districts, how many staff members they have that are presenting? Not that, I'm just curious.
Not as many.
Thus, there's no competition.
Like, are we
We're
like,
running, so some of these workshops are being co-facilitated. So I think of the 20, we have about 14 workshops total that we're running that day. I think we settled on 28 workshops, thereabouts for the day, not including the ones that are going to be facilitated as breakout sessions by the keynote.
What time in the morning are you starting and what time are you finishing?
you're not invited.
This is a full day. This is 8 to
I'm not
3.
going.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'd be way too early
great.
for me.
Yeah.
And this also creates choice for teachers too.
Huh?
Yeah, I like that.
Choice
Yeah.
in the professional development menu, it's fantastic. The next thing that
Just
we'll.
one.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
So, we all, I
Chris.
think, yeah, thanks.
Please.
The staff members who are leading those sessions, I think it's tremendous for all the reasons that we've said. If there's anything we can do to recognize them, I don't want them to have to show up to a meeting after a day of school, but like, even, we read their names out, they get a there should be some way that we recognize them.
Maybe
as
you
a
already do
district.
that.
Just because I think it does, I mean, even just like signaling to other districts, right? Like, maybe, not that we're gonna be poaching teachers from Littleton and Harvard, like, actively during these things, but I think it does signal, I think that we are, again, all the things, Adam, that you're saying about the direction we're heading in as a district. I think our teachers are sort of one of the best things, aside from students, that we can put out into the communities around us to show off the work that we're doing. So anything that we can do as a body to recognize them, let
I'd
us
be
know.
happy to do it.
Not to mention the extra work. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I totally concur with
Yes.
that, because there was, when
20.
we started, you couldn't put those towns in the same category. You couldn't. There's no way you could do that. But now this says we belong here with those communities. And I think that's an important statement to make.
Sorry.
No, well, that's great.
Anyone else?
I know I said 3 questions.
Dr. Rindo, would you like to
Alright.
continue with your report?
Love to. So Mayor Shirley and the Lynch Leadership Academy have begun the strategic planning process. We've had preliminary meetings with Jen Kolosko, the executive director. She will be facilitating the strategic planning meetings between cabinet and principals, and then we will be facilitating the second meetings with full administration teams for that. The findings for the equity audit, for the district equity audit, were shared out with staff. It was very similar to the presentation that the school committee received in May. The school committee will receive an update on this during the superintendent's reports, during the superintendent's goals at the next meeting. Principals are currently working with Jen and their DEI committees to create presentations for the individual school reports. These will be presented to staff on or before November 17th. The DEI committees and administration from each schools will then prioritize an action plan for the recommendations. Now, this should have been its own bullet, but we have started and trained all of our administrators in the 5 to 10 minute walkthroughs that we have been doing this year. They've been happening in every building, some more than others, where we, the building administration, and different members from central office, it's almost always Charlie and I, but sometimes Tara Bozick and Mary Beth Hamel also join us. We join the building administration teams. We break out in teams of 2 or 3, and we're in and out of classrooms to do a few things: to identify internal expertise, 1; 2, to see if there's any type of feedback that we can give that can have an immediate impact on student engagement. That's what we've been focusing on right now. We have created a protocol and a workflow for all of the administrators, and we've actually reached out to ASRIA because we want, our next step is to get teachers involved in these walkthroughs, and also teachers involved in giving some feedback on how to improve different things in the classroom. So it could be student engagement. If we're talking about elementary level, it could be how to improve something as simple as centers during reading. We feel like if we can do this in the right way, exactly what is happening on this PD day will start to snowball, right? So I can give a lot of good feedback in almost any elementary classroom. I spent a lot of times, 14 years as an administrator in an elementary school. When I go to the high school, I lean on Charlie. When we're in the when we're in the elementary school, though Charlie has a lot of expertise, he will check his thinking with me, right? We have that different expertise. If we can get teachers involved in this, and they're willing to do it, and right now they are, we think the feedback will not only be received better, but sometimes might actually be more efficient and effective. So that's where we are. We haven't had teachers participate yet, but I will be working, actually the 3 of us will be working with Brian Lapointe and Marianne Zyman to really outline the protocol that we have so that this can be done in such a way that it is seen as positive and productive feedback and not one teacher grading or evaluating another. So where we haven't done that yet, they're reaching out to the MTA to see if there are any other unions doing this, and if there are, what is the agreement that they've come up with, and is it working? And I've actually reached out to MASS for the same thing. I have not gotten a response yet, but as you know, Joyce, we'll see Tom Scott, and who's Tom, and I can't think of the other guy.
Is he still the?
We'll see him tomorrow, so I will follow up. This is something that we're very excited about. The interesting thing is we're in classrooms for 5 or 10 minutes, right? And we're getting into a lot more classrooms than we would if we were in for a half an hour or so, but we're already seeing progress in this.
But this is basically, when you say a walkthrough, this is not really an official evaluation.
No.
It's an observation.
I don't even know if I would call it an observation. It is.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm just trying to understand.
It's a moment in time where we can sometimes glimpse things that could help teachers do things slightly differently to change the outcomes drastically, right? So for instance, a lot of the times as teachers, I know I've done this, I'm teaching something I'm really interested in, I'm really excited, I have the kids really excited in front of me, but I'm calling on one student at a time, and it's a lecture style teaching. So when I call on one student is engaged and one student answers. If I can calm myself down from this excitement because I know I have them engaged, and I can say something as simple, turn and talk to the person next to you about whatever question. Now every single kid in that class is now engaged in that question. It's simple. It's simple when we say it, everybody knows it, we forget to do it often, right?
It's easy to fall back.
It is. So we're looking for, what we've really been looking for at the beginning of the year is active engagement strategies. How can we get every student involved instead of one student involved? We're trying to shift from teacher-centered teaching to student-centered learning. It's not a difficult shift, but we kind of always tend to go back to how we were taught. So we need those reminders, and it's really actionable, friendly feedback is what we're trying to do. And we're seeing that shift. I think up until last week, every time we did a walkthrough in a building, we could have said, oh, why didn't they use turn and talk? Turn and talk it's the simplest engagement strategy there is. Last week, we did some walkthroughs where we couldn't say, why didn't they use turn and talk? So we're seeing those active engagement strategies. We're knowing that they're listening, it's having an effect, or they're securing feedback. But either way, I'll take it.
They see you when they say turn and talk.
Yeah.
Turn and talk to each other. I'm going to look good here.
We do. Any questions on that? The other thing that happens is we do identify internal expertise from doing that too. You go into certain rooms and it's just always a home run. We need to tap that teacher to let other teachers come in and observe, mm-hmm. or to do a professional development on a day like on the 8th.
Well, doesn't it also really, the fact that you're there, isn't that really increasing, we're all in this together. This is a team thing, we're all focused on the same thing, and you reinforce it by doing that.
Yeah, we're all in, and that's the message for the year. So what we have seen from teachers
all in
this year, they're all in. I would say that teachers are all in too. So it's exciting to see. I know it's strange to see someone get excited about active engagement strategies, but it's catching hold. I do have an enrollment update for you. We currently have 71 students enrolled in our pre-K. We have in our kindergarten 57 at LAW and 79 at Page Hilltop. Now there are 3 sections at LAW and there are 4 sections at Page. In our grade 1, there are 62 students at LAW with 3 sections, and there are 87 students in grade 1 at Page. There are 5 sections of grade 1 at Page. There are 63 students at LAW with 3 sections, and there are 53 students at Page with 3 sections. In grade 3, we have 55 students at LAW with 3 sections and 84 students at Page with 4 sections. In grade 4, we have 47 students at LAW with 3 sections and 76 students at Page Hilltop with 4 sections. And in grade 5, we have 57 students at LAW with 3 sections and 78 students at Page Hilltop with 4. LAW has a total of 341 students, and Page Hilltop has a total of 528. In middle school, we have 128 students in grade 6, 114 students in grade 7, and 129 students in grade 8 for a total of 371. In high school, grade 9, there are 99 students. In grade 10, there's 119. In grade 11, there are 87, and in grade 12, there are 90, for a total of 395, and the district has a total of 1,635 students.
If my quick math worked, I tried to keep up with you. So it looks like that we're running no more than 22 in a grade room.
I believe that is correct. And that was the number that we were using to whether or not to be open or not open for school choice. So that is working.
So it looks like this is probably continuing. We will not be open for choice. See what happens towards the spring, but usually we increase students as.
Currently, right now, we're taking people on a waiting list, and we will, for the grades where we're under 22, we will have a lottery the first of the year. That's how we had asked to do school choice this coming year at last spring. That's how we did it in August. It seems to work. One of the things that we had done in the past that we shouldn't have is when we have current students enrolled and they move, if they school choice in, we would take them immediately.
So we're doing it in January?
Well, what we need to do is
Evaluating it in
we need to
January.
put them on a waiting list and have a lottery, so that someone who, say, lives in Lunenburg, who also wants the school choice in, has an equal opportunity for that spot.
Do you find that then kids will change in the not beginning of the year?
Since this will be the first time that we do this, I don't know.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
How many different communities roughly do you think, if you take a look at the people looking at choice ed, is it down to a couple of specific communities or like it's kind of spread around?
You'd be surprised. We had a request from Athol recently. Michelle can answer that better than me, but there's got to be 12, 15 communities that we have school choice requests from. Most of them are who you would think they are. Yeah.
So it's staff member, like children and staff members in those farther communities? No?
No, this year we only had 2 or 3 staff members who wanted to choice their students.
Just
Also,
curious.
there's a lot of Fitchburg, we have an Athol, there's a West Townsend, we've had Bloomberg, had Pepperell,
There was one from very far away,
we have Hudson, Mass.
but it was a senior.
Athol's not the far away one? That's
No,
something
there was one
further.
that was even further.
Well, Hudson is not a straight line.
Yeah.
Well, Hudson's at least, I mean, like, it's not that bad, 495 to Route 2, but Athol's ways. Well, we welcome everyone, wherever you're from.
As long as we have room.
As long as we
We're
have
not overcrowding our kids.
Right. Okay.
You have more?
That is all for the superintendent's report.
Oh,
Thank you.
I was just warming up. Thank you. Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions for Dr. Renda? I think we have Mr. Plunkett on board for proposed FY23 salary budget transfers. Mr. William Plunkett, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In your packet, items 10A1 and 10A2, we have the budget transfers memo. Each year at this time, we provide these transfers, proposed transfers, based on our budgeting for salary increases. So this year, we budgeted $625,000 for salary increases. The number did change a little bit because somebody charged someone's payroll to that, so it came down $666. But we're going to transfer $624,333.34, which were held in one salary or 2 salary expense lines, and now we're going to spread them out through all the salary expense lines in the general fund budget. The $625,000 is about 3.9% of the total salaries of $16 million. So we thought that was going to be a reasonable number. We came in a little short. We're short $132,355.84. That's about a 0.8% deficit. And what we're going to do is we're going to reclass a couple of salaries out of the general fund and into school choice and the ESSER 3 grant, if appropriate, to cover that deficit. There is no net effect on the budget because these transfers are in and out. The debits and the credits do net out against each other for the $624,333.34. You can see that on the last page of the salary transfers, the spreadsheet that I included as well. So it does not change the bottom line. The bottom line for salaries remains the same at $16,051,505. And our operating and capital budget for FY23 remains at $31,095,382. So we would just need your vote because this is a change to our certified budget from April 5th for FY23. So with your approval, I'll be able to go ahead and do the transfers and line up those budget numbers with our expenditures.
Does anybody have any questions or comments for Mr. Plunkett? Hearing none, does anyone wish to make a motion to that effect?
I will make a motion that we approve the fiscal year '23 proposed salary budget transfers as outlined in the memo from Mr. Bill Plunkett dated November 1st, 2022.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Second for questions and comments. Anything else anybody would like to discuss on that motion? Hearing none, I will call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None. It passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Plunkett.
Thank you.
When is the audit?
What's that?
When is audit time?
Oh, gosh. Coming right up. It's not one thing, it's another. Yeah, that's
It's
November.
soon, right? November. This is November, right? November.
Is it?
Today
Yeah.
is November.
I hate to
Coming
tell you
right
that.
up.
Yeah, it got here before any of us were ready, for sure. Okay. Thank you, Bill. Item B, on ongoing business, we have the donation of the Panther statue from the Quinty family, and that's up for a vote. So if something is being voted on by someone on the committee, to recuse yourself from the vote because of an interest that you have in this is always a question. And recusing, since I made this mistake myself a number of years ago on a bus matter, recusing yourself a matter of not just leaving the table, but leaving the room before the vote. Since we only have 4 people tonight, if Mr. Quinty recuses himself, since it's a Quinty family issue, then I don't think we have a quorum to make a vote.
I don't recuse myself.
Okay, all right. So is there any discussion or questions on item D under 10, ongoing business, donation of Panther statue from the Quinty family? Michelle, you were the most instrumental person here in the fields. The rest of us went along for the ride and appreciate all the work you did. Really, thank you. Let's just say thank you.
My pleasure.
Do you have any comments, or?
No, I mean, I know the statue initially, when Jim had brought it to, I think, Dr. Renda, and then you had given me the pictures. I had said to you, I wasn't really sure where in the field it would go, and we went back to the architect. And it really is, I mean, every inch of that kind of entryway is planned, and as is the walkway. So that is kind of the problem is placement. And the Fields Committee had talked about placing it in the rotary where the flagpole is. I don't know, Jim, if that's acceptable with your family as part of the donation, but that's where I thought it could go. I don't know that there's really any other spot in the complex for it. So that's where the Fields Committee had talked about putting it. I think you had said that it was at the discretion of the Fields Committee where they thought it would go, and that was the suggestion. So that's I think what the consensus was from the Fields Committee as far as placement, based on what the architect had suggested for locations.
When I talked to Dr. Renda, said they were free to place it. If it's, I think that, the Rotary's at the athletic field complex. I think it has plenty of visibility, and they can place it where they think it should be placed. Most of the places it's around the entry. That's around the entry. If you go to colleges and stuff, that's where it is. But it's not. I don't want to interject myself into where it goes. Right? This is something I want to do. I came up with this because I think the committee did a good job with the overall design of the field complex. And I know that if I made a motion to get 17.5 out of Bill for a statue, he's not going to do it, right? And I think it adds something that most schools don't have, and I think, that's fine. And also, I'd like to say this is, and a lot of the other stuff we do, it's the Harold G. Norton Field Complex. It's the Janus Bresnahan track. It's the Paul Bresnahan, and it's Mr. Dolan's successful. This isn't the Quinty Panther, right? This is a panther on a big rock or something here that will have a plaque that says, just a gift for my family. That's all it is.
I had heard something about the Rotary. I asked Mr. Christie if he thought that that was acceptable, that it wouldn't interfere with any alarm things or something where people were doing egress, rapid egress from the building and have any effect. And he didn't think it would, because just in case we have drills or close downs or something, and he thought that would be an acceptable, that would not interfere with any of that. I was looking for safety things to make sure we weren't putting something that was going to cause additional, a problem in that direction.
If I could just, I mean, I don't know who else of you guys were on that discussion when we talked about placement. I know I don't want to, I mean, my recommendation was to put it in the Rotary because I felt like it was visible there, and because there's no real spot for it in the actual complex, I thought it would be a good place to go. But I mean, I guess I don't, I would leave it to the discretion of the administration as to what they think as well, if there's any, issues with it being in the Rotary, or if you guys recall anything different from the conversation. But I think there was quite a few of us on the Fields Committee that thought that might work as well. I mean, if it was going to go somewhere.
It's where the flagpole
is in the parking lot. Like, so as you're coming, where you would park, outside the high school, that Rotary, that circular, there's a mulch bed there. There used to be plantings, and now it's completely scraped, and it's
By the road?
No, it's by the
right by the front entrance of the school.
Oh, okay, I see. All right.
Right as you come in.
Okay.
Because part of what came up with when we went back with the architect, I said these are the dimensions that we were given, and we're still putting a donor wall. Like there's a lot of landscaping in the actual complex. There's the paver plaza, and then it slopes a little bit to the left where baseball starts. So the entry wasn't a good place for it. So that's why I personally thought that the Rotary might be good, because it would still get visibility from people coming in to the school, not only the Fields complex, but the school would be right there. And just the nature of it, it's going to be mounted, I think, on a small rock. So you don't want to put it in a place as well, like near the baseball fields where kids will climb on it and have it be what's the word I'm looking for? Like a liability for.
Well, you don't have any basically foot traffic going across that circle.
No, that's a completely mulch, so it could go in. I don't know. I mean, I would leave it at the discretion of whoever would be in charge of placement. But that's just one spot that was outlined by the architect as a place that could be put on the campus. But if anyone else remembers anything different, this was talked about like 2 months ago, so.
That was the main spot. I think the other thing that was mentioned was the entrance of the high school, closer to where the doors are, up on the plaza.
Yeah.
Going into the high school.
Well, and I think that's why I'm saying too, like, it would be the discretion of wherever people think it's gonna get the most views and, but.
Well, and the principal is kind of in charge of the high school, so I mean, that's why I asked him if that would be a problem, since I heard that had been proposed, so.
I say that spot because that's where the architect had thought, based on, getting it as close, or getting it near the field and getting the foot traffic of people walking into the field.
Mm-hmm.
I think
there's a lot of visibility there.
Yeah, with the type of space, I think the Rotary is clearly the best place to put that. It's fine.
Do we have an overall dimensions with the stand as to what it is? Because I didn't see the architect's drawings and stuff, that's all. Just curious.
They are available. I mean, I can check email to see if I have them. I don't know, Jim, if you have them.
Jim?
The Panthers on the site, you go visit the Panthers.
Oh, the Panther's here. Has the Panther been unveiled?
No, he's still in the box.
It's a life-size Panther.
Yeah, it was tall as a man, silhouette. I remember that.
So it's 6 feet tall?
Do you think it needs to go in a rock?
8 feet tall?
Yeah, it's going to go, well, most
5 or
of it
6.
is your point, so people don't climb on it.
Yeah.
So it's going to be higher.
It's higher than that, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if there's any more you want me to say.
Okay.
Do a field trip after the meeting.
Is there any,
I mean, I wasn't here for the last meeting, so I don't know what the conversation, I don't know how to respond
to have some more information about what it was going to be mounted on and the overall dimensions of it. That's all. That and the cost. Thinking of a donation as what the value of the donation is, and so does that include the base?
Yeah, everything would have been included. I can look back in my emails and see. I know that Mary had
Do you
sent.
know that off the top of your head?
The estimate was 17.5.
So I think we were just looking for some more information and placement before we made any other decisions.
Well, again, I'm not the one in charge of placement, so I would have say that it would
But
be.
we
at
had
the
nobody else
discretion.
from the committee here but you. So.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So we have a general dimensions, general placement.
Mhm.
Works for Jim.
Yeah.
Can we vote on this?
Well, you'd have to make the motion before we
Okay.
can vote on anything.
Well, I didn't know if there was any other discussion we wanted to.
We can have discussion after the motion is made and seconded.
Great. I'll make a motion.
We do this wrong, we have a discussion and we have. but-
I'm still learning. I still think I'm new here.
It's actually supposed to be the other way, but everybody wants to talk, so we're just casual. We
So-
just let people go.
I would make a motion that the school committee accepts the donation of the Panther statue from the Quinty family.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Is there any more questions or discussions or comments? Hearing, seeing none?
I was just going to say, I just think it's great that we have families that continue to, invest in our community.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anything else from anybody? All right, not hearing or seeing any none, I would ask for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Abstentions? We don't have anybody else to abstain, so I guess that can't be it. So it will be passed. Thank you. Moving on. Any other topics for discussion not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance of this meeting? And congratulations, we are only 5 minutes behind. We will never be 5 minutes behind again. We will end this at 9 o'clock.
There's a lot of announcements, Joyce. This could take hours.
We could just skip the announcements.
You read slowly.
Are you ready to read them?
I
How fast can you read them? How fast can you read them?
I cannot read fast. You want me to fill in? I think.
Wait a
This is
minute.
our service
Are
for
there
our
any other
public. Don't read
topics?
too fast that people can't
Is
hear.
there any other topics for discussion not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance of this meeting? Chairperson's notes. Thank you very much for going through the resolutions tonight. I think this is very important. I think the Massachusetts Association School Committee is a tremendous asset to our functioning, and I am doing professional development for the next 3 days, in my estimation. I'll give you all the feedback that I can remember, and see what happens. And we just can't wait to hear the commissioner. Can we, gentlemen, wait to hear the commissioner? Mr. Renda?
They're not even listening to you.
I'm always excited to hear.
I would really like your
Commissioner
attention
Adams
if I am speaking. Thank
This
you.
evening is always the best.
No whispering in the audience. Do we have a need for executive session, sir?
speak. Not at this time.
Not at this time, thank you very much. I just want to get that out of the way so we can let Chris, at his leisure, read the communications.
All right, well, I will do my best filling in for Erica. All right, Friday, November 4th through Sunday, November 6th, the Air Shirley Regional High School presents The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Showtimes, Friday the 4th at 7:30, Saturday, November 5th at 7:30, I should say p.m., and Sunday, November 6th at 2 p.m. General admission is $10, students are $5.
Can I just say how great it is to see drama back at the high school? Thank you, that's it.
Yes, that's good.
Drama's back. We saw them as we walked into the meeting.
Yeah, it's
they look
awesome.
great.
Yeah.
Monday, the 7th, 90-minute early release. Lunch will be served. Dismissal for the high school and middle school is 12:50. Lori White and Page Hilltop is at 1:45. Tuesday, the 8th, no school, grades preschool through 12, and professional development for teachers. Tuesday, November 8th, Air Shirley PTO meeting, 7 p.m. at the middle school. Is this Wednesday or Tuesday? Must be Tuesday. The 8th is Air Shirley Regional Middle School Veterans Day Program. No, Wednesday the 9th.
Has to
There's
be
a mis-
Wednesday night because we're not here on the 8th, right?
Yep, there's a
Makes sense.
mistake on that. But, so Wednesday, November 9th, Air Shirley Regional Middle School Veterans Day Program breakfast from 8 to 8:45 and assembly 8:45 to 9:30. Thursday, November 10th, Page Hilltops Veterans Day Program is at 9:30 in the high school auditorium. Friday, November 11th, no school in observance of Veterans Day. Sunday, November 13th, the 10th annual Dance for Kindness that Ms. Sanchez told us about earlier will be at 1 p.m. downtown Air. Monday, November 14th, report cards issued for grades 9 through 12. Monday, November 14th, Laura A. White Elementary School Veterans Day Program at 1:45 in the Laura A. White Gym. Wednesday, November 16th, Laura A. White Family Literacy Night, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Wednesday, November 16th, school committee meeting, 6:30 at the middle school library. Thursday, November 17th, evening teacher, parent, guardian conferences, grades 9 through 12. And Friday, November 18th, half day of school for grades 9 through 12 and afternoon parent-teacher conferences.
Thank you, sir, for filling in for Erica. I know she would appreciate that. And is there, I would entertain an adjournment at 9:10.
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 9:10.
Do I have a second?
I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.